Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Smeth Den. Today, I'm going to let you know that women should sign up for the draft if we ever hope to have equality in this fucking country. And I'm going to convince you. And I'm going to convince Lav. And I'm going to convince Whick and whoever the fuck is on that panel. Whoever else needs to get their fucking facts straight. All right. I'm sure they're like kind of ready, but I'm gonna get my little link out. Bear with me for just one moment while I get my link out. Mr. Boy. That's right. That's Mr. Boy to you. At everyone. Link. I don't know. So, don't you worry a damn thing. Don't you fucking worry a damn thing. We're gonna get this stream going, guys. Alright, I'm gonna hop in there. It's about to start. As soon as I can find this fucking Discord server. That's the one. Yeah, that moves music kind of slapped though, baby. It looks like I might be the first one in. I don't like that. Hello, Mr. Whick. Here's my camera.
The darkness and the red light in the background. Very good lighting. One day when I become rich, I'll redo my whole setup, get a whole streaming space just dedicated for it.
This is actually really cheap.
Well, I'm talking about the space I need.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I just got my bedroom. You gotta sacrifice a little bit. You know what I mean?
Sacrifice a little. Well, I have a little cordoned off corner that I stream from, so you know it is what it is. Lav, Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm still a little sick with COVID, so I might
Sorry to hear
get
that.
out early.
Can you turn yourself up just a smidge then, since you got the sickness, the virus?
Yeah, I have the mind virus. Here, let's see.
Okay.
That should work. Is that working?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Is this better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Whatever you just did.
Okay, this is better.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
If you're gonna enlist in the army, you're gonna have to get your shit together. They don't care if you have COVID.
I think they might, actually.
I was out before COVID hit, so who knows. Let me DM the other two and see where they are.
So, I haven't seen any of you guys. Hold on. I need to. Hold on. I haven't seen any of you guys since last year.
Huh.
Breaking news just in. Shut up.
Oh, that was supposed to be a laugh track. I pressed the wrong button. Don't worry about that.
I was confused. I guess I still am. By the way, Lav, your camera is off. I don't know if that's intentional. There we go. Excellent.
As a woman, we know that your camera's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, there's one. Stardust will hopefully be here in a moment, and then we can start. So you guys know the drill, same as all the time. I'll introduce the topic, I'll say hi to my audience, and then give you each a brief, concise introduction and opening statement. Ali, Happy New Year.
What's up, buddy? Happy New Year. Happy New Year's, guys.
Wow, you guys are a rowdy bunch.
Sorry,
Rowdy, yes, sorry, man. I was just
Right.
stuck in traffic rushing up everything here.
I'm just trying to get
All right.
get everything put together and make sure all of you. Okay, you're all in the room now, so that's good. Stardust, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Happy New Year. Okay,
Happy New Year. I'm just turning my camera on right now.
excellent. And once you get that on, we'll get started. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Any questions from any of you before we get this going?
Nope.
No?
Okay. Well, in that case, welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Whick TV, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Oh, we have a show for you today, gang. We are going to be talking about women in war. The draft, at least in America, does not include women. Should it? Should women be required to sign up to serve their country if the country so deems that they are required? Should women be allowed to fight on the front lines? It's a good question, and we're here to talk about it. But first, before we do, I want to just say Happy New Year to all the people in my audience. I know we had a stream yesterday, but it was a call-in stream, kind of a low-key thing. So now that you're all here, welcome and Happy New Year. Let's give a brief opening statement to each of these individuals. They can introduce themselves, and then we'll just get into it. And we're going to start with Ali. Thank you. Hi.
Hey, what's going on? All right, so my name's Ali. Do I think women should sign up for the draft? Probably not. It seems really unnecessary. If we need people to go to war and need people to fight, we're probably going to need the men more than we're going to need the men. We're going to need them first. In terms of them wanting to sign up to join and fight for the front lines, I mean, they can if they want to. They're going to have to be tested to see if they're even capable enough to do that. And if they pass the test, I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't do that. But other than that, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here, and I'm sure we'll get into it as we go. Lav, please, what do you have?
Hi. I'm Lav. I'm getting over COVID, so I'm low energy and grumpy. I don't think that we should bar women from being on the front lines if they want to, if they even pass like any like sort of like test to be like I mean, there are very few like even female Marines for the reason that like they're just not as strong, obviously. So
none.
I don't think that I just don't. I think that this is ridiculous. Obviously, women shouldn't be involved in a draft. There's never going to be a time where we run out of men, so that we need to do that. Men are just sort of built to be put to war, and women are built to have children. So that's
Fair enough. Fair enough. I hope that you aren't, that this isn't too stressful for you with the COVID, but thank you for being here anyway. I really appreciate that. Next up,
Real Smith. Yeah. It's called Draft Kings. It's not called Draft Queens, baby. No, that's not what it. I think that women should absolutely be signed up for the draft. I don't want to live in a society where women don't serve in the military, don't work as judges, aren't politicians, aren't cops, and aren't the president. Okay, if we want women to be our president, then they should be required to sign up for the draft. If our laws dictate that women are unfit for the military, how can you expect Americans to see a woman as someone who is fit to be the president? The president's main job is to command the military. It's a military position. And if we want to trust and respect a woman enough to defend our country, then we're going to have to sign them up for the draft. In my utopia, So I don't think that. Okay, so I should get to. Okay, I'm skipping a point. Okay, I'm trying to go fast. Wick likes it brief. Women should also be firefighters, but that doesn't mean that I think that the guy who has the fire axe busting through a flaming wall should be a woman. Like, that person should obviously be a man, because that's a physically demanding job. But there are plenty of other roles in firefighting that a woman can do. So you should they're not the same as men. You should allocate the jobs appropriately. And there's a lot of non-combat, non-heavy lifting jobs in the military. There's cooks. There's like engineers, programmers, cleaners, industrial, manufacturing. There's basically every type of job you can think of. The military has to have people doing it. And so yeah, just do that. In my utopia, where that's the case, if there was a draft, you're going to see a military where entire branches or entire factions of the military are completely run and dominated and led by women. And I think that Americans they respect women so little. They imagine that, and they think women will fuck it up somehow with their stupid women bullshit. And I don't think that. I think that women are actually better workers than men, and that's been proven to be the case. They're more loyal to their employers, and they're more disciplined. And I think that if we want women to stop acting like children, then all we have to do is stop treating them like children. And this is a big, important way to do that.
Okay, well, that was a lot. well, I'm sure we'll address it in the open. Last but certainly not least, Stardust, please.
Hi, I'm Stardust. So I personally believe that when it comes to selective service registration, it's not fair that men are required to sign up for it and women are not. It's just not fair under law. I think that women should be required to sign up for selective service registration. Just because they're signed up for selective service registration doesn't mean that when they're drafted that necessarily they are going to be working in the front lines in combat. But if there are women who are able to do that, then they should be able to do that, right? It's going to depend on who fits where and what their best needs are. There are plenty of other jobs, being cooks, taking care of things from an administrative level, pilots, drivers, things like that. When technology is involved, women tend to, things are even. Also, we do have women who who have been in combat. Tammy Duckworth is one of my favorite politicians. She's somebody who is a senator, and she had her legs blown off in combat. But I think she's super badass. So yes, I think women should be required to sign up for the draft. Does that mean that women will necessarily be in these combat zones? Not really. Apparently, even when people were drafted for the Vietnam War, a lot of them were not on the front lines. So.
Okay. Well, that does bring up an interesting question, right? So for those of you who don't believe that women should be required to sign up for the draft, would your beliefs change if it was simply to service jobs within the military and things like that they were required to work for, or what are your thoughts here? Go ahead.
No, not really. I mean, the way I think about it is if we ever are in a moment where we need a draft, and if we have all these men and all these women signed up, realistically, we're probably going to choose the men first anyways. And then by the time we need the women, we're fucked. So it's like, regardless, if we have X amount of people, we're not gonna take everyone in. So we're gonna have to choose who we seem to be the best, and it's gonna be the men first, and then the women.
So you think the men are better at women at everything, is what you just said?
Wait a minute.
No, he did not say that. He did not say that they're better at everything.
I know he didn't say it. That's
no,
the implication.
the men are built more
to do everything better,
durably. No, to do everything. That's not true.
We're talking about service jobs.
This is hold on. This was in your opening statement, Smith. Is that you said you had said, like, how can we respect a president who, like, whatever, you went on, I'm too sick to fucking recite your stupid fucking dumbass argument. You a woman does not need to be strong in order to be respected for her intelligence or her intellectual prowess. You don't need to be strong. In fact, a lot of men don't need to be strong for you to respect their intellectual prowess. So how can I respect a woman in a position of power as a professor, as a doctor, as all these things, if her body's not big enough to take bullets? I mean, come the fuck on.
That's not
I
what I
don't think
said.
that's what Smeth is saying. I think what he's saying is that if we want women to truly,
can I say what I said instead of you saying what I said? Women are weaker than men. Okay, women are weaker than men physically. So like, have them do jobs that are not like their lives.
Does a president like winning?
Right, exactly. And the president is a military commander. So that's a job.
You don't need to be strong to be a military commander.
Exactly.
Retard.
So you can. So that's why exactly. And you don't have to be strong to be a cook or a medic or an engineer or a programmer or a janitor. Okay, so have women do those jobs in the military because they're not as strong.
Okay, but then they should just be able to go into the military if they want to. A draft implies that we need people to catch bullets for our country.
Right. And so when you have a military operation,
yes, it is.
When you have a military operation,
that's what a draft is.
Hold on, one at a time. Let's start us going, and we can
when we've had a draft in the past, only a very small percentage of the people who were drafted actually went to the front lines. So that is not true. So a draft is not necessarily putting women in front of bullets. The women who are recruited could be doing things like being nurses and doctors. In fact, if you look at studies, women tend to make better nurses and doctors than men do. Their patients have better outcomes. So why wouldn't we recruit women for these things?
Well, why would you? Is like if most of the people don't end up going into the front lines and they're filling up service jobs anyways, why do we have to resort to like also going to women when we already have enough men to fill
our
up? Our
country would never stoop so low as to enlist some pathetic, lowly, stupid, retarded women, smelly. Right?
Are you good, bro? You all right?
Why do you think women are not as good as men that can't do basically any job? Because I'm talking about basically every job. I
never said they couldn't.
Okay, so why should we pick men over women?
In terms of war, men are probably better suited for things like pertaining to war than women.
So like controlling a drone to shoot people. Do you think men are better at that?
Yeah.
Even something like even something as little as like lifting artillery to put inside of something.
Yeah, man.
I mean, something like that.
Or if you need to lift people as a nurse, you use a man.
No,
it's just better. You're better suited in the war. That's not true. Okay.
The vast majority of there's a huge percentage of medical workers are women, and we still lift people every day with no.
In World War One, in World War Two,
but if men were medical,
in World War One and in World War Two, actually, frankly, in every single war ever, there's never been a woman draft, and yet there's still been so many women volunteering to do medic,
well,
to
be
nurses, to do all those things.
From the kindness
women
of
will do that. Women will do that.
Country.
In fact, it's still like, it's almost conscripted in the fact that you're like socially, kind of not forced into it, but like maneuvered into that role. I don't think that we need something like a military draft for that.
Okay, so we do need it for men, but we don't for women because they'll just do it anyway because they're...
I don't really believe in a draft, period. I don't think there will ever be a point where we need a draft.
Like the draft is a backup plan. It's not a necessity. It's not like something we're like using. We're not...
You're changing the topic and dismissing. You're changing the topic so that you don't lose because you've been backed into a corner.
No, first of all, the question that
why wouldn't
Wick said, "Do you think women should be on the front lines?" I said, "No."
Hold on. Give me a second.
Draft means nothing
one
to
at
me.
a time. Yes, there's a couple questions here that we're going to be discussing today. One is, should they be required to sign up for selective service, the draft, basically? And the other is, what roles in direct combat, should women be either required if they were a draft or allowed in other situations? To what extent and what unique issues do women have in combat that we should talk about, right? There's a whole host of things we can discuss, right?
I also think forcing a woman to be around men, especially in a place like the military where we know like military rape is like rampant. I don't know. I don't know if that's a great idea. Like
New topic,
putting a
but I'm
woman in
prepared
the
for this
middle of
topic.
like a bunch of men. Like
New
I just
topic,
don't.
I'm prepared for it. Okay, so the sexual brutality against women, violence against women is a thing because what we just let women join the military where they used to not be able to. Actually, I don't know if they were ever not able to. We've designed it around men.
They were not able
we
to.
need to if we want to have women enlist in the draft or whatever the fuck, sign up for the draft, then we have to make changes to the military. The United States military is not the most disciplined military that's ever existed. Militaries used to be way more disciplined, like where you were literally
when we used to fight wars.
Yeah. So we do fight. Okay, you don't understand.
We barely
I don't think you understand.
anymore.
I don't think you understand the
dude. 80% of the military right now is sitting in their barracks paying for people's OnlyFans. They'll never see combat in their fucking life.
You're afraid of letting me finish my point. Okay, so all we need to do is structure the military a bit more and add more discipline, and not allow that kind of shit to happen, and then it won't. Like it's completely possible.
Yeah, when you don't allow rape to happen, it never happens. That's what we know about rape.
Smeth, what are you talking about when it comes to our we used to have a more discipline in military
I was talking
before
about
modern day.
So
what are you talking about?
So pre-French Revolution, the French military was a lot better than any other military because it was mechanically disciplined, so much so because and back then that was before anybody could enlist voluntarily. At that time you were forced to go in, and if you left they would kill you, and they trained you.
There were harsher punishments,
yes,
perhaps
discipline,
yes, but that does not equate to a more disciplined force. In fact, especially in those days, there were the amount of war crimes, for lack of a better terms, that militaries would engage in were rampant, and they just weren't disciplined, right?
No,
you had to let the troops let off a little steam. They would have camp girls, right? A bunch of attachés, for lack of a better term, kind of following them around to kind of let off steam. It wasn't more disciplined at all.
Yes, it was. No, okay, they did let them do that because they didn't give a fuck about women, and that was the spoils of war. They're like, okay, you beat this, now go do that. But also, it was incredibly disciplined to the point of utter clockwork, and you're gonna stand here, and you're literally going to stand in a line, and we're gonna train you with brutality and mental and physical abuse, so that when you're standing in line and when someone's 15 feet from you shooting you, you're not going to flinch, and when I tell you to load your gun, you're going to load it, and you're going to take that bullet to the fucking forehead, or you're going to fucking shoot them, and that's what's going to happen. Or we're going to kill you. That's what it used to be. And if you think that we can't use, because the military has to be disciplined, it goes against most of my moral values. The military is an abusive place to be. Your individuality, your personhood, you lose rights when you go into the military. And the type of discipline that would be required for drafting women would be a higher degree, so that there's not fucking rape.
Okay, so. Just for the sake of I'm gonna completely ignore that because I don't know how I wasn't paying attention, to be honest with you, and I just
why don't you just shut up and let someone else respond to me?
No, dude, I've been fucking waiting to talk. Okay, so shut the fuck up.
Well, then respond to me, or respond to something else instead of changing the topic.
I don't fucking.
Why don't we just let Stardust go? Let Stardust go.
I don't care what you're gonna say.
What I am. Okay, fine. Don't care about it.
I'm going to change the topic as soon as you're done.
Fine. According to what I have been reading, less than 30% of actually no, it's actually draftees for the Vietnam War only made up about 25% of the total forces in Vietnam. So again, it seems like the vast majority of draftees are not even going to the front line. That being the case, I think it would be fair if we required both men and women to sign up for selective service. One, because it is it makes men and women equal before law, and two, because most of the jobs probably they're going to be drafted into are going to be non-combat roles, and you still need people for those. There are going to be people who, for example, with the Vietnam War, there were people who were doing anything they could to get out of service.
Should it be 50-50
and they-
split? Like if we have a draft, should it be 50% women, 50% of the
Interesting
men in the
question.
draft that get drafted?
I don't know about that.
Is
I
that
can't tell you-
equality?
I
That's
can't
what
tell you-
would be equality. It would be 50%, 50%, and then
Yeah,
we just
in fact,
divide.
we should have a quota. Half
And
of
then
the
there's a
military
bu-
should be
Yeah.
Just a
female.
minute, just a
Then there's a
minute,
bunch of people who
minute.
are signed up for the draft that didn't even go to the draft that are men that are just kind of like chilling.
So
while
again,
50%
let
of
me
women are.
finish what I'm saying here. The Vietnam War, there were plenty of men who were trying to get out of being drafted, right? With that being the case, and they couldn't get out of it. With that being the case, I think that men and women should be required to sign up for selective service so we can fill the roles that are needed without having to pull people in who are medically unfit for these roles.
We wouldn't do that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Is like
that's
unless
not-
we
you
did a
don't do that.
50-50, unless we had a draft, and then we did all right 50-50, we're not going to sit here and decide like, oh, how much women should be doing these jobs? Where should the women? It's just going to be draft the men, and if we need the women, then draft the
It
women.
shouldn't be based on politics. It should
Also,
just
I
be
refuse
as
to
needed.
believe that to be seen as equal under the
You-
law, we need to pretend like men and women have the same like value to society. They
We
don't.
don't have the same.
So you
No,
think
I'm
they're
not
less
saying that.
valuable?
Wait. Lab,
No, they don't have the same
No,
value.
I think it's
No.
different and the
No.
same.
You-
Okay, so
Separate but equal.
So they're worse at everything
I'm not
except
saying,
giving birth, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that men.
No,
and women,
there's no evidence to suggest that women are worse at
am I
running a
quiet? Am
country,
I
at
too
doing
fucking quiet
politics,
for
at
this panel?
teaching, at being a doctor. I don't like. There's no evidence
Okay,
to
then why
suggest this.
can't they
Yes,
do
women
that?
are worse at being strong.
guess what?
Yes.
But,
Guess what?
but we've already
Teachers
moved
were-
past that. You're
Shut
stuck on
up.
that.
Shut up, Smith. You're so useless. Okay, teachers were already exempt from the Vietnam
The
draft.
fucking pot calling the kettle black.
What?
Okay, fine, Smith. Whatever. Look, men and women clearly have differences, right? We both agree on this, Lab, that they have biological differences. In what they are
Everybody on the
capable
panel
of.
does. And everybody also on the panel already agrees that women shouldn't be doing the most stringent roles that you need lifting heavy artillery. And then we keep moving
No,
back
what
to
I'm
that
saying-
and we're changing
I
the
also-
topic.
Women also get pregnant. It's not like when you're in the military. What if you get pregnant in the military?
Can you go home or whatever? I don't know.
Like our bodies are different.
If you get pregnant in the military, you,
Okay,
you get a
okay,
massive
okay.
fine.
So,
You go to jail.
Let me
We do
inform you
not-
what happens because
we do
I've
not
been
make
Okay.
laws based off of people's bodies. If we want to be equal before law, we need to be equal before law. That doesn't mean we don't take into account the biological differences of women.
Why can't
and
we
men.
just be
We are
equal without
equity.
military why do we need that to be equal?
Selective
the
service
law.
is something that is going to be so rare. Something that if we even
Okay,
do
so
it
why do we
again-
need it?
Oh my
That's
God.
kind of like
You
what-
are
where
not
I'm coming
helpful,
from.
Stardust. It's because it's the law, okay? And if you do not think that a woman is fit enough to fucking be a doctor in the military or program in the military or an officer in the military,
Not
then
even
you
that,
don't
it's
think a
you are
woman
more
should be the
likely as a
president.
woman. You are more likely as a woman to be abused in the military, being around
Right.
that many men forcibly, than you are to even be like a positive force in the military. It's dangerous for women. It
every
doesn't make
man-
any sense. Also,
every man that joins
you
the military
have,
has a
you have
100% chance of being
finite- You have a
abused.
finite amount of fertile years as a woman. Military men do not have that, right? So when you send a woman to the military and she can't get pregnant for X amount of years, you are stunting this woman's ability to have children potentially, harming her in a way that makes it so that she can't have children in the future, what have you. It doesn't seem worth doing. It just doesn't seem worth doing. If there was a big argument that was like, oh, women are so good at loading bullets into things that it like outweighed how abusive being around that many men could be to women, maybe it just doesn't for me.
Okay, so
Also,
it does
yeah,
seem
you're
worth
treating
doing
women
hold on,
because
as
if
hold
you
on,
want...
hold on. I have a question.
Jesus fucking
So
I have a
Christ.
question. I have a question on the pregnancy thing.
Mm.
So, first of all, there is a rash, at least in the Air Force there was. And it was a meme that before a woman, when a woman would get called up to go on deployment and things like that, suddenly they'd become pregnant and they would have to find someone else. That was a big meme. So my question to those of you who think that women should be required to sign up for the draft.
Yeah.
We
They
have the
should be
draft.
required to do
I'm glad
birth
you're
control
asking this
also.
because I really
But-
want to answer it.
Yeah,
So
well,
thank you.
let me finish the question, right, before we go off, okay?
Yes.
So, what happens? The draft calls up, their name gets called, suddenly, oh look, I'm pregnant. Are they penalized legally for that? Are they forced to get an abortion? What happens? Do
If
they
you
wait
get-
until they're not pregnant anymore
If you
and
get
then draft them? Like, what's the
similar
Wait,
to
what's
similar
the
to
average-
when
That, this would actually be good for society. Then more women would be
So,
pregnant, and we'd have better
already
replacement
when-
rates.
Already, when women get pregnant and they're in the military, they just get like sent back.
That's not
They're
good.
not, you know.
Discharged.
okay, then the base.
Well,
the
they don't
basic-
get. First of all, they don't get discharged.
That's not
at
a
all,
draft.
right?
Okay.
No, they don't get discharged. They
right?
just
That's
get
barely a
sent to
draft.
different
then you're
place.
making a system where like either you have to fight in a war or get pregnant as escape no, as a way out. No, like if you are drafted into the military and then you get pregnant after having been drafted, and you can tell when somebody got pregnant. There's a amount of time that you're pregnant. It's going to be basically 9 months. So if you get pregnant after being drafted, then you have a massive massive fine and go to jail. Just like when you're in the military,
Retarded.
you're not even allowed to jerk
No.
off like without like permission.
Dude,
It's even in the
people
What are
rules.
you
Like
talking
your
about?
body when you are
Military.
okay. So most of the people on this panel don't understand the military. Like it goes against most of my. You're not a human being. It goes against my values. But it's a necessary thing for society. You're not a human being. You don't have the same rights in the same way. Your body belongs to the government when you are drafted. When you are in the military, your body. You cannot get a tattoo if you're in the military. You have to cut your hair however the fuck they want it. You have to work out when they want you to work out. You have to train when they want you to train, and you have to not get pregnant when they don't want you to get pregnant, or else
You
you're
gotta
gonna
fuck
go to
the
jail.
soldiers when they want you to fuck them.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one. At least I am
women-
unaware of any military person who has gone to jail for being pregnant.
No.
I know that-
happens
but they
in the
should do
military,
that.
What happens in the military when a woman gets pregnant is she gets transferred to like another place. Essentially, that's it. That's it.
Not sometimes. It really depends.
I'm still unsure as to how that we would even select the women that come into the draft. If we put all the people in the draft, we have too many people to draft. Now we have to select who's getting drafted.
Also,
I still don't
just
see
by-
where I don't see where you would
women-
pick women above men. I don't
Also,
see where
with
in the list
with
of
the
people
women-
you're looking for.
every single woman is on a fucking SSRI.
You
You can't go into the fucking military if you have depression or anxiety. That cuts out 80% of fucking women. Like,
That's fine.
I'm about to say,
That's
what about-
fine.
So you're saying.
Period.
So you're
Do
saying.
periods
Yeah,
affect-
period.
do
The
periods
period
affect battle
also.
too? It's once a month.
I mean, yeah, they would.
That's fine.
Like-
Doctors function while having periods.
I don't think that
Well,
women
sure,
are that
but-
pathetic. I think that women can do jobs fine. In
It's
fact,
not
I think
about
it's actually
being
I think it's
pathetic.
actually a fact that women are actually better workers and more loyal to their employers, which is the most important thing in the
I
military.
think that
should-
women
so we
are
should
smarter
replace-
and
so we should replace
therefore
the
more
soldiers with
valuable,
women.
and they shouldn't be put in the fucking draft to die.
Okay, well you're gonna need
But
the
they're not
smartest
in the
people
draft
working
to
for the military,
die.
or else we're gonna
They're
die.
not
So
in the draft to die.
But I just don't even. You'd have to make an argument to me on why it's advantageous for the country or for women to be in the draft to even consider it, because we don't need it.
Besides,
So-
men
so you're
have to
just
do it.
against the
Besides,
draft.
men have to do
You're
it,
just
women have
against
to
the
do it
draft
too.
altogether. You're
Okay.
changing the topic.
Okay.
You're not engaging. You're just saying no draft.
Just real quick. So, I got a couple super chats. I'm gonna read them, and then we'll try to get back on track to some semblance of order here. $5 from the Alex Kirch Project to say they have to do a family care plan if they get pregnant. He was in the army, I believe, so I'm not sure how they do it there. Perhaps. $5 from Fairy Queen to say the New York Times just covered the sexual assaults that happened on October 7th. Should America follow Israel's example in drafting women? And that does come to the topic at hand, right? Given that rape and molestation things are a weapon of war, and we can see what's happening in not only Israel, Palestine, but also Ukraine and Russia, is this something we want to put women at risk for?
No.
I think, again, women who are drafted aren't necessarily going to be in combat roles. They are going to be doing things like nursing, like being a doctor, like being a cook. These are useful things in the military. These are roles that need to be filled. So yes, there is a risk of and I will 100% agree with Lav that there is a problem with sexual assault in the military, right? And that's something that needs to be fixed. But what happened in Israel to women happen to citizens, not military people, just citizens, right? This is so yes, it is a risk of war. And so yes, I think we should be really careful in where we put different people. We should put them according to their skills, and that alone is going to probably put most women out of combat.
But why? Just a follow-up question to you, Stardust. Why would why would you ever choose, to Ali's point, a woman over a man if they are so limited in where you can utilize them?
Because
right?
women are
why not
better
choose a man that you can put literally
Sure.
anywhere?
Women are better at nurturing. That women are better in these medical roles where they take care of people. They have the patients have better outcomes. So that is one place I could definitely see women. Having diversity in the workforce does help the workforce. It does help the workplace. Having women as cooks, having women in other roles, administrative roles, these are things that can probably help the morale also of those places. So.
I mean, in terms of work and jobs, sure, but in terms of war, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that that would benefit. I don't see diversity helping in terms of war. You're not really looking for diversity. You want orders clear cut and followed.
Well, women are better
Sure,
at
but
following
women-
orders.
So should women be the military and men shouldn't be the military since they're better at following orders?
Maybe they should just both be in the military.
They are both in the military. It's just men are more likely to sign up for the military.
We don't
women are less
deem
likely.
women fit enough for the military to make them sign up for the draft.
Well, they're not fit enough. So
yeah, that's our difference in the definition of I don't think that.
You don't think that women aren't as fit as men to be in the military? Do you think we're equally fit?
Like fitness, sure, but
women should
have
be
less muscle mass.
force conscripted to teach. I think men should be forced to go into the military. Women should be forced to go into education roles.
No,
that's.
I
fine.
mean, have you
I
seen
actually
women
kinda
on my
like that.
channels? I don't know if I
kinda
want them teaching anything.
A
But
huge portion
that's
of
like-
the
that's
Well, I
like
don't know if I want
education-
Smeth protecting our fucking country.
Well,
Okay,
that's like
a huge
what
portion-
I don't want
a
lab
huge
teaching our
portion-
fucking kids.
A huge portion of our schooling, a huge portion of our teachers are already females, and teachers are already exempt from the draft. So
Okay,
Or-
well, a
everyone's-
large.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's already kind of doing the job they're best fit for. So
Exactly.
like most men are joining. Most military are men. Most men are joining the military. They're better
we're
fit
still
for
gonna
that
need
job.
people. We're
So
still
the
gonna need
reason-
That's
another
what the
reason
draft
that
is for,
this
so you
is-
get more men.
Okay.
And then the women who want to voluntarily sign up are already there. So we already have the women that want to be there.
I don't
If you
think it's-
drafted
I
women
think
that
we-
don't want to be there, they're not going
Oh
to
my-
benefit you.
If
I
you
think
draft
we
the
need
men
to
that don't
hear
want to
the-
be there,
I
they're not
think-
going to benefit. What kind of fucking argument is that?
Also,
Here's
again,
the
you're
problem.
just you're just
More
not
men are
going to
likely to be
get as many
until-
women
Stop.
to draft because we're
Stop.
all mentally ill.
So yeah,
You
they'll all
can't
start.
join the military as a mentally ill person.
Stop. Here's the issue, right? We talk about the draft and things like that. We have a world where there are fires, right? Burning, right? It's not a world
So
that
true.
is engaged in a war, but there are many wars that are popping up throughout the world. The U.S. military is falling behind on recruitment. It is not meeting the standards it needs to maintain the force. Something has to give at some point. If, God forbid, the U.S. is dragged into a war, or several wars, there will come a point where, again, unless something changes and we are able to meet our standards, that a draft might be on the table.
Yeah.
$5 from Artemis Fowl to make this point. Military recruitment in the U.S. has collapsed. Either conscription comes back or women need to step up. So that's a question. Why should women be exempt from being signed up to a draft
Why-
if
Well,
they are to be
recruitment is
expected?
down.
Because they
If
have
recruitment is down-
periods
wait,
and
hold
all
on,
this
wait.
other
If
random
recruitment is
misogynistic
down-
bullshit.
If recruitment is down, that means men don't want to join the military. If men don't want to join the military, that's a problem with men not. That's a problem with the military not being able to recruit enough men. To say that because men don't want to join the military, that we're going to have a draft and include women into the draft that doesn't make sense.
Why would you limit? Why would
Also,
you
how funny is
half
it? Because
population?
is there
Why
going to
would
be a
you have
world
half the
conscription now?
population
So
to
now the
draft?
world now the military that we're fighting against, are they also going to be half women? That puts us at a disadvantage. Like, are they also making like, guys, we're trying to be really equal.
So,
the
yeah.
Middle East, we're going to war
So, yeah,
with like
the
Iran, and they're like,
So the
we
misogynists
have
on
a
the panel think that
50%
the
majority
misogynists on the
combat
panel think
role.
it puts us at a disadvantage, and the rest of us
Do you
don't.
think
And
a-
if we're actually
How is that
behind,
yeah,
if we're actually
I believe
behind
it.
on if we're actually behind on recruitment, so like
Jesus
another thing that I wrote
Christ.
into my intro because I skipped
I
a
think
lot
we
of
need
shit.
to
So
return to an
so if there's
honor-based
so
society
if-
for men,
so if-
and that will help with the draft.
if there is a firefighter that is axing his
what-
way through burning walls to save my life, if there are not enough firefighters and because
you are
I
more
want
likely
that guy
to die if,
I-
there's a woman trying to save you than if a man is trying to save
I
you.
want that. I
That's
want
what
that
you
guy.
want?
I want that guy to be a man. I
That's
want
what
that
you
guy. I want that guy to be a man.
Nobody-
Okay, obviously because men are stronger. Okay, but
Yeah.
but if there are not enough firefighters and the option is it's a woman, that's what I got. She's there and she's gonna help.
Or
She's gonna
if
save
the
my life.
option is
Or
you
I
force
die in
another
a
man
fire.
to do it.
Or I die in a fire. Then I'm gonna
It's
choose.
either a man or a man who is forced to do it. Why would you want a woman
So,
to be
yeah.
in that situation at
Okay,
all?
because so we're talking about firefighters. So this is not.
Yeah.
We're not talking. Yeah. So that's not. We're not forcing.
But it's
people
the
to be
same
firefighters.
dynamic.
So if
I
there
don't
are
know why
not
we're
enough.
talking
So
about
if there are
firefighters.
not
Then,
enough fire, you
okay.
keep changing the topic to not actually answer anything. The entire
There aren't enough
conversation.
firefighters and the
Anything that
firefighters
I've
will
said,
win, we
you
lose.
changed the topic.
Yeah, like-
If there are not enough
Because-
firefighters and you're gonna die in the fire unless somebody axes through the wall, it doesn't matter at that point if it's a man or a woman. You
Yes,
just
it
need
does.
somebody to fucking step
here's the
up and
thing.
axe through the wall.
Was somebody who can do
can
it, not somebody
Yes,
who could
can
not
I- can I-
can.
can
I want to
can
give it to
please?
Stardust. Go ahead, Stardust.
Please. Okay, so, all right. I don't understand. Okay, so the U.S. Armed Forces only less than 15% of U.S. Armed Forces total are in combat roles. Why would we put men in logistics and administrative and cooking roles who could be on combat? Why wouldn't we put women there?
We don't need them on combat. Only 15% go. We don't need.
we
Okay,
need no, we do
you need to.
men
You
in
need. You
combat.
need to. You
We
need to give me a
men in
reason why you.
combat.
You need to give me a reason why, since there's 15% of men in combat, you can send more, but 85% aren't. You're gonna have to explain to me why. Out of that 85%, we have to split it to women, just in case the 15% die that we have to
If
keep
we-
sending out.
Because
to
then
war.
we have
You
more
know?
people in the military, and
And
we
also,
have more
you have
soldiers.
to explain how this is
Wait,
equality
wait,
also,
wait,
because if
this
you're
is-
arguing for
okay.
this based on equality, you have to then, like, what would be equal? Is it 50% women that we're drafting? Is it 50% men? Like,
It
you
does-
need
sure.
to, like, where does the equality stop?
I don't. I think it should be like so.
But
So
I'm
just
saying-
like we don't choose between.
Oh my God,
Just so
I'm
just
going to
so
fucking
just like
kill
we don't
myself.
discern. So just
No,
like
wait,
we,
hold
so
on,
just like we
hold
don't
on.
discern between
I'm
race.
murdering
Just like we don't
myself.
discern between race when the draft happens. We're not going to discern
Smeth
between
is going
sex.
to be the death of
Yes,
me.
you are.
Okay, all right. So guys, so when we look at
Also, we
15
do
less
discern
than
between
15
race in the military with IQ.
li-
Idiot.
less than 15% of enlisted personnel in the U.S. Armed Forces are in combat positions. Right now, when it's drafts, it's about I think it's less than 25%. But that being said, if we go to war with a nation like China that has a huge population, why would we waste men in roles like nursing or in administrative roles when we could have those men who are much more capable to put them on the front line? There will obviously come a time where we will need to expand the percentage of people or the amount of people on the front lines. And so to do that, it makes sense to recruit women, to force, all women to sign up for selective service, and they can work in roles that are best suited to them. Because guess what? Again, medicine is one of the places where women perform better than men. Why wouldn't we have them
The
there?
military, apparently not.
Because you're making the pool smaller of the men that you can pull from. So if 25%
No,
during the draft
men-
are,
you're making
if
it
25%
bigger. You're
are
making
in,
it bigger.
I mean, not really, because you're not going to draft everybody. You're going to draft an X amount of people, and if you
Right.
if you make the pool smaller of men that are being drafted, and let's just say split it up 50-50, if those 25% are gone, and we
not
need to
what I'm
pull people,
suggesting.
I know that's not what you're
What I'm
suggesting,
su-
but that's
what I'm
kind of
su-
like
what
what
I-
we're trying to get to.
No. So what I'm talking about here is there's inevitably going to come a point where during a draft we need more men, and we don't have enough men for the front lines.
He
So
needs
it
a
says
math
here the
lesson.
first
Can I-
people
can
who
I-
are
can I-
usually drafted are healthcare workers. So actually, we should just have a female draft.
Can
So
I
if the
can I
first
can
people
I
to be
give a
drafted
can I
are
give a quick
doctors, nurses, technicians,
Yeah,
and
let's have-
therapists,
Let's have a
then
math
then we
lesson.
should just get rid of a male draft in general.
We need a quick math lesson here. So if 85% of the people in the military are non-frontline combat like people, and then we have a draft that is 50% women and 50% men, then that means that there are more. So that in that case, then the draft, that means we have a 50-50 military, okay? That means that we have 50% of the military that are men. So that means we have plenty of enough of them to be the 15% that are in the front line. So no, there's no reason you're saying the pool is smaller. It actually means the pool is a lot bigger to have frontline combat. It's like basic math. Go to fucking, like, if you want to argue about math, like at least
draft women and we'll just get pregnant. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah,
well then
like,
we should send you to jail if you do that, because when you're in the military, you don't have.
Yes, you're fucking insane.
If you get a tattoo when you're in the military, you go to jail.
You don't go
if
to
you get
jail.
pregnant in the military, you should absolutely
Are you
go to jail.
retarded? You don't go to jail if you get a fucking tattoo in the military, retard.
Yes, you do. It's against the law. You do not have a right
Wait,
to do
no,
that.
that's not true at all.
Wick,
Okay, stop,
Wick,
because this is... So, you do have to get a tattoo approved by your commander, because, again,
Right.
there are
Just like a pregnancy.
issues, right, with like face tattoos and things like that. You have
Or
to get
like,
it
I love
approved by the commander.
ISIS.
Yeah,
But
and a
if you get a
tattoo.
tattoo, it's very like, without approval, it's very unlikely you'll go to jail.
No, you'll get dishonorably discharged if it's
I
that
have
bad.
no
No, they
fine.
won't just
Other-
discharge
people who are
you.
in the military who are in
No.
my chat saying you don't even have to do that. You don't even have to get approval.
Well, at least in the
Yeah,
Air
no,
Force,
I-
You
my
are not
friend-
okay. So
especially if it
you
was
are
in
not
certain-
allowed to get a tattoo if you're in the military. It's not that big of a deal. They'll probably punish you, but you'll get away with it. If you get pregnant,
you were saying
if you
jail.
get pregnant, that literally precludes you from like fighting in the military. It's the equivalent of fucking.
Yeah, in
it's,
fact,
it's
I've
not
changed
literally
my position.
It's like cutting off
We
your
should
foot.
have a draft because that would help replacement, and more women will get pregnant to avoid the draft, and we should do that actually. So I think that women should be drafted.
Okay, yeah. So so we can just disagree. I don't think that women are that like fucking slimy and conniving that they would like all get pregnant to undermine the draft. But I guess in your vision of the world where women are, your misogynist women were so
people were
underhanded.
drinking 18 bottles of soy sauce to avoid the fucking draft to like
Wait, why-
raise their blood pressure.
Why do,
Like, what do
why
you
do you guys
talking
want women to
about?
be drafted? Why? Like, what is
Because
it?
if I want-
why-
if
Well,
we
their
want-
argument
okay, I already
is
gave you-
equality, but
yeah,
I don't
If
understand.
we
I don't
want,
know
if we
how
want
this
people to
works.
vote for a
now.
woman to be the president of
My
the United
main-
States, we're going to have to actually view men and women as equals. And it seems
That's
like
not
both
true.
you are both giving very loud.
Trump
You have
was
plenty
president.
of reasons why you don't think that they're equals, and you're just changing the topic or whatever you can
Never
because you
said they
don't
weren't
want them to
equals.
be drafted because you don't think that they're actually equally able to do the jobs or whatever the fuck, or you just don't think that they should because you think men are like lesser, so you think that women should. They're above war. I don't think women are above war, and I also don't think women are below war. Okay, so like I think that they are equals, and we have to treat them like that if we want people like we do treat women like children, and a lot of women are mentally ill and retarded because of that, and this is a big step forward in not doing that.
But you keep relating it to president. Like Trump won president. He wasn't in the military. He wasn't in the army. He wasn't like he won president. You don't have to be that. So like a woman can win president without being drafted. I don't see what like that does with equality.
I'm talking
The
about.
reason-
okay,
okay, so
They
the
usually don't run platforms based on being like the fucking leader of the free world. Like they're like,
I'm
that we
talking
need some
about.
change.
I'm
We need
talking
to
about the
communicate
perception of women in society will have a dramatic change if we.
No, it
draft.
won't, because
No, it
you
won't.
think they're going to be drafted to fucking roles that are still going to be sexed. There's
that's
still
also
going to be
considering-
sex roles in the military
And that's
in the
if we
draft.
have a draft. If we
And
don't have a draft,
and they're
we're not
perfectly
gonna think
capable of
them.
it. I'm talking about
Guys.
things that they're perfectly
Okay.
capable of it of
How
doing,
are we
but
going
you're
to
saying that they
respect a woman as
shouldn't.
president if she's not on the front lines?
I'm not
If
saying that she should be on the
small
front lines. You're
as
changing
This
the
is
topic.
nonsense.
I did not
This is all
say.
nonsense.
I did
This
not
is all
say they
nonsense.
should
I
be on the
regret-
front lines at all. I said that they like
I regret
Stardust
doing
keeps
this.
saying that they should be fucking healthcare workers. Okay, that doesn't mean they have to be on the front
Filled
lines.
with
We just
regret.
don't respect or trust women enough to do that. And if we cannot trust or respect women enough to do that, we think they're so slimy and underhanded.
Well, we
they're all going to get
do.
pregnant, which should be illegal because that's
we do
undermining
trust
the
women.
draft.
We actually trust women so much that we don't have to do military
Okay.
conscription because they will just be medics and nurses
They'll
anyway.
just
They'll
join
join
up.
anyways. They
Enough.
do.
Okay,
The reason
so
why
I don't
care
think
about
that that's why
women
we
getting,
don't enlist them.
The reason why I care about women signing up for selective service is because
I was having an
think
argument
we
here.
should have-
Okay.
I
Stop.
think we should
Everyone is
have-
on this panel is allowed to talk. Everyone.
I
Anyway,
think we should have the largest pool to select from so we can select the best people for each role. That is why. I think it will be beneficial to expand that role so we can further.
How much do you think it's going to be expanded if you
reform-
add women? How much do you think it's going to be expanded?
Also, think about this. Before they
No,
ever do military
50%,
conscription, they ask
50%.
to volunteer. So they're going to ask people to volunteer. I bet you anything, especially if the roles are still sexed in the military, which both of you have acknowledged they probably will be, that a lot of women will not be fighting. If a lot of women know that they're going into the military to not fight, there's not going to be a shortage of women who are volunteering to go into the military. There is a shortage of people who are going to potentially think they're going to die in the military, which is why there's a draft. If you say women volunteer, you'll never see combat. Why?
Okay.
Like
when you go
hordes of
to a
women are
recruiter-
going to go. They're going to get jobs. They're going to maybe find a man in the military.
And
like,
they already do
that's-
during war times. Women do
Yes.
pick up roles that are
Yes.
necessary for
Yeah.
them that they can fill.
Yes.
a very
Men, we
small,
can't trust men to do that.
small amount. Okay, when you go to a recruiter, you get to recruiters never trust them. Absolutely don't trust them. But you get to pick like what you're trying to recruit for. You can say I want to enlist to be a grunt. I want to enlist. Like, you can say which thing you're trying to do. So like, why don't they?
That
already
doesn't
do
matter
that?
though. To be clear,
Because
like
they're not needed.
Yeah, but
you
we shouldn't
you
want
can
women to
give
be.
a preferred job, but
Yes.
even if your guaranteed job is never guaranteed. I knew a
Yes.
lot of people who signed up to be a X in their contract or whatever. But once you sign, right, they can reclass you. They can simply say, "Oh no, we filled this job. We don't need it anymore. Sorry, you're going to be a grunt.
If
You're
the
gonna be a bullet
military,
sponge."
once you're signed up,
That can
if the
happen. But I wanna
military,
give- hey,
deems
hey,
that you're a
hey,
woman
calm
and you should be
down.
on the front lines, then they have to do it.
Smeth, I know it's
Again,
exciting. Calm down a little bit.
expand-
We're
Well,
gonna
the
give it
thing
to
is,
Stardust.
I never get a chance to fucking complete any argument at all. Someone
What are you
interrupt-
talking about? You've been talking most of the time here.
You,
Talk
you're
more
doing
than anyone else
paragraphs.
here, and you've been
The more
saying
I talk, the
nothing.
more
You're
I
right.
need to
You're
talk.
right about you haven't been saying anything, but it's not for lack of trying.
Okay.
Thank you for your
again,
retarded whatever the fuck.
I understand what your argument is, Lav, that when women, when these things happen, women tend to volunteer for these roles. That doesn't mean that we can't still benefit from an expanded group of people to select from. I didn't get to say this before somebody cuts me off. The way that we currently do selective service and do the lottery is kind of outdated. We can improve upon that, and from the selective service, we can look at people and see who is most qualified and choose those people for certain roles. And that will free up more men to be in the front lines. So we will have more of an advantage. Yes, lots of people will volunteer
Well,
for
then
the
why-
army. That
Yeah, I
doesn't
think that I
mean-
don't think that there's ever
doesn't
going to be a
mean we
shortage
won't-
of women
that doesn't-
volunteers.
that
Well, there
doesn't
already
mean we
is.
won't need- Wait,
No, there
wait,
isn't.
That doesn't
Yes,
mean.
there is.
That doesn't mean, guys.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there
Just
is.
because. Oh my God. Yes, there is. No, there
Don't
isn't.
let her
Can
get
I
away
say
with
what I'm
that.
gonna say? Okay. So
Finish your
again,
point,
Don't let her
Sarah.
get away
You
with
let her
it.
get away with so
Just-
much fucking shit.
just because women volunteer and you think we don't have a shortage doesn't mean that there won't be one, especially when it comes to men in the front line. That is why pulling from a larger group of people so we can expand the people that we pull from and improving the lottery system that we have and making it more about who's
Okay, so
qualified
in
to
this
be where.
hypothetical where women fill every position, where
I'm
there
not
are
saying
still
every position.
How many positions are women filling in your hypothetical, though, Starbust?
Yeah, that's another one.
How
Like,
much, what's the percentage of women that are going to
because
be
with
drafted to fill the roles?
volunteers,
Choosing the
with
most
volunteers
qualified
who are
people.
already going into the military, then with volunteers and people who are being forced to go into the military through conscription, there's going to be too many women in the fucking military. Like, there's just not going to be. I just don't.
Like, even if we had a draft,
85% non-combat
we'd end up grabbing
roles.
5 to yeah. So you
If-
want all the
see,
non-combat
here's the
roles,
thing.
most of
I
them to be
would
filled by
want-
women.
Again, guys. No,
Yes.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
I mean,
saying
that puts women in war zones. You
guys-
understand that, right?
How are we gonna wait? How are we gonna
guys,
respect
guys?
women
That's not what I'm saying.
aren't
That's not what I'm
actually
saying.
fighting
What
in
I'm
war?
saying. What I'm saying is, do you guys know what the lottery system is for selecting, for drafting? It's like incredibly old. You pull numbers from a fucking jar, okay? We
Yeah.
need to improve upon that. The way that I think that this would work is that we would improve the draft system. So yes, we have men and women sign up for selective service. And then we have a list of people and what they're up to, what they're doing, what their profession is, where they are in their lives, right? And we look at that group of people and we look at the roles that we need and we choose the best qualified people regardless of
But then we remove them from our communities where we need them while we're at times of war to help the,
We need
Yeah,
them
exactly,
We need them
also.
more in the war. We need them more in the war.
No, you probably need more, like the women that are suited for the medical and you probably need them at home
you
for
probably-
the kids. And then you probably
teaching.
want the men,
Yeah.
like men don't need like the best cooking and like in terms of like you're gonna get just
No,
as
but
fine.
You're like, women are better cooks. That's
They're
why they
not
should
better
be.
and you're gonna get and you're gonna get more
Women who work in the service industry, right? That's plenty. There are plenty of people that we could pull from that group, right? Just because we're pulling people from these groups, from medicine, from the service industry, from other industries, doesn't mean that we're pulling all of them, right?
Okay, so
We're
yeah,
still
but
going
so
to-
even if
we need
women
to
are
pull
better,
waitresses for war.
Guys, remember?
I
Bring
don't
the
know if I
shitty
want to
ones
live in a
then.
world where the
Wait,
government has
wait,
access to everything I'm doing at any given moment.
I'm not finished. The draft. Do you know what ages people are drafted at?
Yeah,
18 to
18 to 24.
18 to 26, sure.
Yeah.
So even if we pull all of these women from these medical roles who are between 18 and 26, we are still going to have a huge amount of women over the age of 26 left who are perfectly capable, in fact, excellent at their jobs in the medical field. We won't have a problem there.
Okay.
You
Here's
want
some
18 to
money I'm
26,
gonna make.
I don't
$5 from Zephyr Hash. Hi Wick, what is the topic today? I tried to guess, but it seems the panelists are having 4 different arguments. Look, I need to draft some help here, maybe. Darius for $5. You want to know why I think women should not sign up for the draft? Tell me for another $5. $10 from Artemis Fowl. The lottery is random because it's a lottery to find out who will be guaranteed to die in combat. When you are talking about a draft, they aren't drafting positions for doctors. It's for frontline bodies.
No,
That's
it's
actually not true. The first people in the draft is for medic. That's the first people in the draft.
Vietnam draft. Yeah, the Vietnam draft only I think it was 25% of the people drafted were actually in combat roles. So that's what I read.
Fair enough. But medics are combat medics in many cases.
Medics
true.
can be.
I was about to say
combat
you're
roles,
still
yes.
taking women. You'd still be taking.
Yeah,
women
these are
and putting
in
them
combat zones.
in
right?
a battlefield combat zone.
Sure,
So it's like
and it would
they
be
might not be on the
dangerous.
front line, but you're
And
still
also,
putting them in
if this is
like-
where women are most well suited, then a draft would look different. Like a draft would look like only drafting females for a time because they're better suited to do these jobs.
Yeah,
Like,
but it
even
would
if
only
they're
be
not
women
as good
between the
suited,
ages
having
of
more is
18 and
better.
26.
yeah,
Why
but
is it
then
better?
that
Why is it
ruins
better?
a fucking community.
I
That
need to know why
ruins-
it's
No,
better.
it doesn't, guys. It doesn't. And remember, it's between 18 and 26. There are tons of women over the age of 26. who
That is
are
those are
incredibly
your most
successful.
fertile years.
Why do you want
those are
them?
your
Yeah,
most fertile
why would you want
years.
18
You
to
can still
26-year-old
get pregnant
girls?
at 40. What are you talking about? It's not you're not done after 26. You can have
No, but
kids
those are
after
your
26.
most fertile years. That's when you're going to have the best offspring,
Nobody
the
is
healthiest
getting
offspring with
married
the
then.
with the
Nobody's
most
having-
ease.
Most people are not having kids.
Well, it's
And
probably
I
gonna be
think they
harder to find a
should.
husband if you're
Well,
in the
then you
military-
have
if
to
you're in the
improve the
military.
economy a lot if you want that. So there's your first
Women have
obstacle.
decided that
No,
they
we need
want
to get rid of
wait
the
to have
porn
kids,
that you're
and that's
watching.
fine.
Okay, enough. I'm gonna try to
People are too
recenter
poor to
this.
have kids in
I'm
their
gonna
early
try to
20s.
recenter this and things like that.
They're doing it anyways.
No, they're
For those
not
of you
no, they're
who
not.
don't think,
You're wrong.
so for Lav and Ollie, who are just totally against having women sign up for the draft, etc., is there a point we could get to that would change your mind? Like, is there a desperation point? Like, say we start losing to China, or
No,
losing
but there
to-
is
If we're
there
that
is a
desperate- if we're that
there
desperate,
is
we already
cyborg.
lost.
Well, that's true. That's true. If we're that
That's kinda
desperate,
what
we've
I'm
already
saying.
lost. We're just sending people in to die. If
Yeah.
there's ever a point where instead of just like your body, we are now becoming like transhuman cyborgs fit for the military, and there's a degree of like, you know, equalization after that. Like we both are in our little body suits that are, you know, Dorito shaped and pear shaped for women that have the same like you know, capability. Then sure, that makes sense. But until then, it's just not advantageous for women or the country in any way. Like,
So
it just
you're
doesn't make
just
any
saying that women are not as capable, and that includes like non-physically demanding things. because like
In terms of war, yes, I'm saying that. In
Why?
terms of war, yes, women are because men are better at handling the pressures that come with the war. You're going to be better. They're better.
So you think that women are retarded children?
Yes,
No,
in
it's
terms
not
of
even.
war,
It's
yes.
not even
In terms
about.
of war,
It's
yes.
not
I'll
even
give
about
that to you.
retarded children.
In terms
It's
of
about.
trauma or
It's about a
Yes.
evolutionary
I don't
fear
agree.
response, right?
I'll give that to you. I have
Men and
no
women
It's
have
the
problem with it.
reason that women are retarded children is
Okay,
because
enough.
we treat them like retarded children. So if
Oh
you
my
don't treat
God.
them like retarded children,
Exactly.
they'll learn to not be retarded
Just let
children.
me give you a breakdown. Let me give you a breakdown of some of the things that you're required to do in a combat zone or in kind of a even where you're kind of adjacent to a combat zone and things like that. Even for logistics jobs or even for like maintenance jobs and things like that, we would have to push multiple pounds equipment, things like that. It's a stressful, demanding, endurance-laden job, right?
Mhm.
And again, some women can hack it, but a lot of women can't, and
It's
that's
just
just
like-
the facts,
It's just like
right?
factory workers. There are women that work in the factory. Obviously, they can, but it's a majority of men, and men are just better suited to work in the factory.
It doesn't mean women can't. It doesn't mean they're retarded. It doesn't mean they're infantile. It just means men are better suited for it. No?
No, and we put women in the roles that they are best suited to. That's what we should do, right?
Yeah,
if
so-
women,
But the
if we
role
know
that
a
women are
job-
best
if
suited
we-
to in general
Is
is
giving
being at
birth.
home and raising
It's
children.
not. It's not. No.
What are the
it's
roles
not.
that they're best suited to?
It's
Giving
not.
birth.
It's not the best role.
What are the
That
roles?
is a
What are
myth.
the roles?
The idea that
Everything.
women were meant to be at home and take care of kids is a myth. Women have worked all throughout history. 70% of the world's agricultural labor is
Yeah, but
made
they've
up of
never.
women.
Yeah, you're right, but they've never gone to war somehow.
Women are better
You're right. They
employees.
They have worked, and they have
Women-
never had to go to war ever.
Yes, but women have worked in medical fields too, and women have been shown to be better than men in the
And
medical field.
and
That's
so
also 'cause they
obviously
choose to
there
work,
is
though. If we
there's
forced them to
also
work,
a
that probably
push
wouldn't be the case.
every
If
single
they
time there's a
choose to
war. There
work,
doesn't
why
have to be a
wouldn't we
draft
allow
because
them?
women volunteer or
why
they're
wouldn't we
socially
allow-
moved into
That
that.
is so bullshit.
Allowing people to
That's
choose,
for
allowing
women.
people to choose is one thing. So women choosing to work, maybe they're better at working. I don't know, whatever. But they're choosing to work. If you forced women to work, I don't think the statistic would be that
I
they are
think
better
most
workers.
women are forced to work.
Okay,
In
can-
the
no.
world, absolutely, most
I-
women
I'm-
are
Yeah,
forced to
meant in,
literally
like, terms of
everybody
like-
is forced to work. Literally everybody in an like capitalistic like economy is literally forced
Christ, it
to
always
work.
comes down to this. It always comes
Okay,
down to
so can we
capitalism.
can
doesn't
we
it?
go back to this fucking? We need to so like so many fucking retarded things that these people are just spewing. We keep moving
I think
past.
before women get
Let's get
drafted,
back
men
to
who
this
live in their
point.
parents' basement should get drafted.
get-
Who needs them?
let's-
Let's fucking put them as fodder, dude.
Let's get
Who
back.
fucking needs them?
Okay, well, okay. Let's get back to okay. So do you think that if you get drafted, it means people are saying we don't need you or something? Like, let's get back to
Yes.
this retard.
Yeah.
Okay,
That is
so
part of
that
it.
is it. You feel like insecure.
That is
about this or
absolutely part
something.
of it.
Okay. Well, we don't need you. Okay.
You
Matt,
women
hold
are
on.
definitely
Matt,
more
make your
useful than
point,
men are
please.
in this case. You only
Can
need
we
one
get-
man.
Can we get back to
You
this
get- you only-
retarded
you-
thing
you
that
only
we
need
don't
one
need to
woman.
draft? We don't need women to be included in the draft because women sign up anyways. Okay, so don't men sign up anyways, and not enough for them are signing up, and not enough women are signing up. In the case that we did have a draft, drafts are bad. I mean, it's like we don't want that to happen, but if we did have a draft, it should be women are included in it. That is the point. Your
what
argument there is
percentage?
a dismissal that is completely retarded and bullshit. You're just changing the topic. It's actually not an
Also, we're
engagement
losing
at all.
people
You
in
keep
the military.
repeating
We're
it
losing
over
people
and
volunteering for
over.
the military because we are not
Okay,
fighting in any wars.
we're not gonna draft
Anytime we're
50-50.
fighting in a war, the volunteer number goes up every single fucking time. We're not fighting in a fucking
Okay,
war right
well,
now.
we need-
Obviously, there's not going to.
I'm going to suggest that we draft specifically Smeth and Lav just so that they can do their whole no,
I can't.
no, it's not. Yes, it isn't. No, it's not.
I
Yes,
can't.
It isn't. Back and forth. Okay.
I'm on a fucking. I can't. I'm on a medication for anxiety. I can't even go into the
both
fucking
can work
military.
in the cooks. Okay, you guys can.
I
both work
can't
as
go into
cooks,
the
okay?
military,
Fine.
period, with a
can't.
mental health condition, and a lot of women have them. So I'm like, high neuroticism.
That's fine.
That's
That's
fine.
fine.
They're
No,
allowed
that's
to
fine
use
to me.
mental
That's fine to me.
illness.
Like that.
I don't know what that draft is gonna look like.
That honestly, yeah, sure. Like, but even if that's the case, that is good for society that we even are acknowledging that is healthy.
What?
So
No,
like,
that's
if the
not.
only-
That's not a good thing.
the only
It's so that
women-
you. It's so that you don't go crazy and do like a Gomer Pyle faux metal jacket and like kill yourself in the fucking military. It's not like
yes,
for you.
No, I don't know what you think I'm saying, but what I'm saying that we shouldn't like people that like have like mental problems or whatever. They're taking drugs or whatever the fuck. They don't have a foot. They have
Undiagnosed
flat
DPD.
feet. Those people we
How
don't
many
let in the
dudes have
military for a reason.
undiagnosed
If there's a lot of
Hey.
women who cannot join the military because they're taking drugs or whatever, then having women sign up for the draft makes that a social awareness type thing. If we had a draft and it was the case that only fucking 20% of women are mentally fit enough to join the military, then that highlights a dramatic issue that we're having. And so maybe
draft?
women are not able to handle the fucking stress and shit of military, and it's not because they're women. It's because we have a society that treats women like shit and traumatizes women and fucking makes them retarded and crazy.
Do you think that at a baseline, even without nurture, men and women are the exact same?
No.
Also, wait a minute, guys. Part of the reason why women are diagnosed with more is because women go see doctors more also. So that is part of it. How many dudes are undiagnosed with personality disorders? I'm willing to say a whole lot of them. You guys are fucking psychopaths.
At least one on the panel.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay. A couple things, right? So I've been sent some studies. This is on NPR's website. It's from 2015. Okay, there's a Marine Corps study that studied the difference between a mixed units, right, of men and women, and all men units. Men units apparently were faster, more efficient, etc. When you mix them, there were some issues there. So again. Given that there is at least some evidence to suggest that mixed combat units especially don't perform to the same standards as other units. And when I say combat units, I'm not just talking about frontline stuff, right? I'm talking about anyone who is in a combat zone.
Even holding a gun, grip strength differences are apparent in men and women. Even holding a gun, even the way you hold it.
Yeah.
So again,
Even though women are actually better shooters, women are actually better sharpshooters than men.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't think that's true.
Well, you think you hate women, but that's actually true.
I do believe. Okay, so in a combat zone, probably it doesn't bear out, but when it comes to competitive shooting, women tend to shoot better than men. But that is again very different from a combat zone, right? So
yeah, because women
And it's
are
also
too
because of
mentally
our
frail.
fear response is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think women are actually more mentally frail than men. I think that's insane.
That's what's needed, right?
In combat,
Like
You know that
life
women
is
are
fucking combat.
also
Life is traumatic.
more likely
Combat
to
is
worry
very
themselves
combat
into
is
having
very
a heart
traumatic.
attack.
It's
so men and women should be able to fight
like
since they're not frail. You don't think they're that
How
frail?
this is a good demonstration of how you're being incredibly bad faith this entire time. So I say that women are not women are not born to be mentally frail like little fucking snowflakes that can't handle fucking spilled milk.
Agreed.
That's what I'm saying, okay? And so you're saying, but in combat, so if we push it to the
War is
extremes,
kind of like spilled
That's when
milk
you
when you
put-
think
if we
about
push
it.
it,
Women
if we
would be
push
more
it to
frail
the
than men,
extremes,
yes.
if we push it to the extremes, women can't handle it, but men can't because they are mentally frail and they're actually less mentally so you actually think that women are more mentally frail than men, and I don't think that.
If you want to paint me into being a misogynist, I really don't
No,
care.
because
That's not,
you're trying to
in terms of
escape it.
war, yes.
You are one, and you're trying to paint yourself as not one.
In terms of war,
You're
in
a
terms of
misogynist.
combat, in terms of fighting, yes, women would be more frail than men in that situation.
don't agree.
Obviously,
Obviously
so
not
That,
to me.
so that men and women should be able to fight. Since then you don't agree.
Fist fight?
Combat can be fist fighting.
No.
Okay, I see.
No,
Gang, I
what the
see
fuck
you
are
all
talking about?
backstage. I
That's
understand
insane.
that you all want a piece of
How
this.
did you
I was gonna
move
say,
from
enough,
talking about
right,
mental
for now.
mental frailness to fucking fighting?
Because I said in terms of war, yes, I would say women are less or more mentally frail.
Women
than men
fighting
in terms of war
women,
and
women,
combat.
women fighting women. It does not traumatize either woman more than a man
Women
fighting a
are
man.
fighting in war, though. Women aren't fighting in war, though, are they?
A war of women against an army of women fighting an army of women. Those people involved in the
Wait,
war
okay,
are not
stop.
going to be
Hold
more
on.
traumatized than an army of men fighting an army of men.
When there's two armies
Hold
of women
on.
talk
We
to
are
me.
going to have stop all of you. We're not going to have Amazonian battles between
That's what
women
I'm
versus
saying.
women
It's a
and boys
hypothetical.
versus boys.
It's a
What
bad
we're going to start
hypothetical.
talking about here, right?
It's
is
not
the
a
eff-
realistic one.
Yeah,
Who
is
fucking
the
cares?
effect of
Fuck you.
allowing women.
Oh no,
Smeth,
you're
please.
you're like you love Mr. Girl. You do everything he does. It is so
allowing-
nice.
just
It's so crazy
anything
that
you
you
can,
watch.
anything you
Stop,
can. You just want to
stop, oh
fucking
my
throw
God,
dirt
stop.
on me to just fucking tarnish anything
Stop,
I
let
say.
me
No,
finish
you're
my
doing
goddamn
the
point.
fuck you thing just like him. Like you're so weird.
What? I'm just
Be
standing up for myself.
normal.
I'm standing up for myself, and you're telling me that I'm being Mr. Girl because I'm standing up for myself.
No, it's the way that you're doing it. It's like it's so maxi.
I'm
God,
genuinely
I'm
emotional.
going
Do you
to
think
join
that
the
I'm
military
trying
just
to?
to
I'm
put
trying
myself
to
in
be
Maybe you guys
somebody
just
else.
both have the same fucking CBD. Maybe
Quick
that's it.
question
Maybe
for
you're not
you.
even trying.
All
Can
of
I
you,
say-
right?
I don't think. Can I just weigh in really quickly on this one thing? Just
Oh my
really
God.
quick. Wait, please. Okay.
Stardust.
I do not. Please, Wick. I barely weighed in on them talking about it. Please.
Quickly.
Okay. All right. I do not think that women are more mentally frail than men. I think women are more traumatized than men because they live traumatizing lives, and men are fucking crazy. But I don't think women are more mentally frail. I think what it is, you imagine bleeding out of your penis for a week every day for the rest of your life, at once a month. Okay, that itself was traumatizing from the age of 10. All right, and let's not even like talk about the rest of society. All right, society is very
Let's
traumatizing.
talk about-
I think men are
Let's
actually
talk
much weaker
about-
than women
Let's
mentally.
talk about the effects on society and the military both by requiring this, right? Obviously, for good or ill, we can acknowledge that making women sign up to potentially be drafted
Women.
will have an impact on how society views both women and the military. What are some ways that it'll be positive? What are some ways that it'll be negative? What are we thinking?
It's gonna
And
confirm
again,
that
I'll
men
get to all the super chats, I promise you, and I see you all backstage, I promise you, but come
It's
on.
not gonna. It's not gonna
if
change
this-
anyone's views on the sexes, especially if they're still going into sexed positions, gendered positions. It's just
No.
going to take women away from their homes, their communities. There's going to be less pregnancy. There's going to be less children. There's going to there's going to be more rape in the military because there are more women joining the military.
So, actually, I think since it seems to be like maybe majority of men want this to be a thing, I think if this actually gets enacted, women are going to start seeing men as weaker, since like men want women to be in the military, like they already don't like that. So to be
God.
drafted, they're
and then
going to see
every man
as
is going to be like Smeth.
no.
I actually think that people tend to have a lot of respect for people who work in service positions in the military. People have a lot of respect for people who work in medical positions in the military, including other military members. Other military members, like if you guys remember, a few days ago, there's this TikTok that was posted on Twitter where people were making fun of these cooks that were dancing in the military, and a whole bunch of military people jumped in to be like, hey, don't do that. These are people who do a lot of work and you don't fuck with them, and so I do think more women being involved in roles that they are best suited for, right? Again, we have to reform the draft lottery as a whole, right? But once we reform the lottery system and make it based pulling people who are the best suited for each role, I think that we would see women being respected and seen as more capable of different things. So
You just said the military guys defended them from the normies that were making fun of them.
So technically, only military would respect them, and then the normies would still find them.
no,
Find a way to make fun of them.
I think the military would military members do. People have respect for veterans, right? They would inform
Not me,
people and
fuck
influence
veterans.
them. Okay,
That's
well, I like veterans, so.
Listen, but I don't know if people have respect for them. Like, how many veterans do we have that are homeless and poor, and so on and so forth. So
No,
it's
I
like,
think
do
that's
people
a-
respect
that's a
them, or do
problem.
people just like,
That's-
oh, you fought for me, yay?
That's a societal problem, and we
Yeah,
need to
that's-
fix that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
So.
what I'm kind of saying to your point. That I don't think people respect military that much. I think
Well,
some
I
people
think
do. I think
we
a sect
don't
of people
have-
do.
I think we don't have enough after military medical care for people, right? So
I think that
So-
if we have a
ahead,
society, if we have a society that wants women to have to sign up for the draft, that means that we have a society where we think that women have the discipline and the mental fortitude. We believe that women are disciplined and have mental fortitude. We're going to hold them to those standards, not treat them like children. We're like that is the chances of that society electing a woman as president is far higher. Yeah, so I think that when we get to that point, it will mean that we have so much more respect for women.
We already
I
did
also
almost
think
have a
that
woman
more
president,
women-
though. So
No. I also think that more women in this group in the military would actually like normalize women in the military more, and might even reduce rapes actually, because there would be more women who are in positions of power, enforcing things. People would have to respect women more.
Men just
and
rape.
then
You
secondly,
can't do anything.
men-
Can't do
men-
anything to stop rape. It just happens.
No, but men just rape. But a lot of the times, what happens
wait,
when
hold
men rape is
on.
they go when they go.
Hold on. No. Hold on.
Wait,
Men don't
let me
just
finish.
rape.
I just
we
did
can
it just now
obviously
while you were talking.
we can obviously put things
We're
in
gonna
place to do
debate it.
different things to reduce.
Yeah, like we could live in a surveillance state to stop
can
rape.
reduce
Okay, so men.
We can
men
feed
do
men
rape.
the estrogen that Smeth is
Oh my
taking.
god.
We can put
Men do rape.
women.
Men do rape, but with more women in the military, that would
More women to rape.
No, what happens is when men rape in the military, as it is right now, a lot of men get away with it. With more women in the military, we would have less.
They're
men
gonna
getting
get away with
because there would
raping
be
more women.
It would take
who
longer
would
for
Literally,
them to
power
like, it's
and
the
posting
military.
things and taking women seriously.
It's the
When you have a
military.
I don't
woman
think
in a
that's gonna
position of
happen.
Power, she is. Going
We've
to
never
take it
seen
seriously.
men
When a
take
woman-
women seriously about rape ever before. I don't
Okay,
know
when
why.
a
Well,
this
if
would
we
just
want to
happen
start
in the
taking them
military.
seriously, we should have them sign up for the draft.
Yeah, just like the
it-
Me Too
it-
movement.
It is.
Just like how the Me
Yeah,
Too movement
that was
helped
literally just my
America,
point that I
or
was
people
just saying.
rape
I'm saying that
less.
society is going to take women.
The Me Too movement
It's the
fucking
military.
changed
You
India.
can- you can- you can-
India specifically benefited from the Me Too movement. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
It's the
holy
It's
shit,
don't
dude.
go
What
down
are
some
you
fucking
talking about?
tangent. Don't go down her tangents. It's the military. You can discipline people far harsher than a normal society. If it's the military, you actually it's actually like not unacceptable to do a surveillance state thing on your fucking military like people. Like the military,
They
you have
do it
less
now. There are
rights.
cameras in
Right.
the barracks, and
Right.
they
And
still
then if-
fucking
Get away
rape.
with it,
And they
Still get
should
away
not
with
get
it.
away if you rape and like half of our like
Yeah.
if
Every
we,
I
single
don't think
person.
anyone here-
Nobody in the military is like, oh yeah, they did a rape. Like they
But
still
there are
have the
more
same like this
women-
isn't okay attitude.
But
It's
there-
not like they're like
Literally,
rape is
like-
okay.
Women in
They-
positions of superior power, then yes, those women are going to take accusations of rape more seriously.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we
And
know
then
about. That's what we
them.
know about society in general is that all women believe all women.
No,
Come the
not
fuck
all
on.
women, but more women will take
So,
it seriously.
female
Yes.
You're just saying female representation doesn't matter, so like whatever. It's like is that
When
what you're
it comes
trying
to
to say?
fighting a war, does it?
No, representation doesn't matter.
Okay.
When it comes to fighting a war, that's an honest question. Does representation matter? Why?
No.
Yeah.
If you
Having more female
Guys,
senators
we
is
should
better.
have disabled
having more
soldiers
female
and we
officers
should
is
have
better.
fat soldiers
No.
and we should have.
No.
Honestly, I
No.
don't.
Why is
I
it
don't
better?
care.
Why is it better?
But-
Why is
okay,
it better?
guys, I don't care about the representation thing in the military, right? It's not media. Media is what I care about when it comes to representation.
That's not
The
what I was talking
military,
about.
No, but I'm responding to Wick's question. Wick, yes, representation, it's not about representation, why we should have women sign up for selective service. It is about broadening the pool of the best eligible people for the roles that are needed in the military. I can't see a downside of picking people who are most
So then there shouldn't be a
skilled
draft.
and
It's
most
about
So you think-
eligible.
So you think
No,
there
it is
shouldn't
a
be a
draft.
draft and we should just
It is
pick
a
people
draft.
from our communities?
That's a draft.
It's a draft. That is a draft.
That's not a draft in
That's a
how we
draft.
even understand it in America.
Do you
You're
know what it
you're
is? You
asking
guys
for a
don't
state in
understand
which
the draft. I've had to correct you guys multiple
so
times.
how
during
do
this
so how
class
do we
because you
find
guys
so
don't
how do we
understand
find
it.
people
The
to
Vietnam
draft them
War,
now?
everybody
Because if
said
you don't want to do
draft
the name out of a hat thing,
and
how do we draft?
She was trying to
again,
explain this to you.
I already explained this. I already
You'd
explained
have your
Explain it to me
resume.
again.
You'd have
When
your
we
resume with the
drafted
military.
When we drafted people in the Vietnam War, only 25% of the people drafted were in the front line.
Okay,
or in
hold
combat.
on.
you're not answering my question.
Stop. Okay, Stardust, you said that you would like to reform the draft and reform the lottery system
Yeah.
in particular. So my question and last question to you is how?
Okay, so as we know that like the lottery right now for the draft, or at least how it has been done in the past, is that they have like a bowl with like a bunch of numbers, 1 through like 365, I believe. And depending on the number they pull, that is the date of birth. All the people who are of that date of birth are put up eligible for draft, right? We need to reform that. We shouldn't be doing a random drawing system. We're going to get like, you know, the freakiest people, you know, from that.
So now we're just people who deserve to die. So we just do a draft of poor people first, black
the reason-
people.
That's not
the
what
reason
I'm
it's
saying.
random-
Let's start us finish.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, you guys are fucking
How? It's
insufferable. I
not
fucking
random.
hate you.
It's
Okay,
not random,
so-
then how? What criteria?
So the lottery, this whole lottery system, I don't think is right. I think when somebody signs up for selective service, I'm sure the government has a database of who everybody who signed up. Right? We look at the people, what they're up to, their education, what they have worked in, right? And see, you know, who is going to be best suited for a specific job. Can somebody make like 2,000 meals every morning easily? Can they be part of a team that does that? Then we select those people, right?
So poor black people are going to be in the military.
When those units are, when we form those units, we form those units based on, I think, you know, if we have a bunch of like cooks, for example, that probably those units itself should be sex segregated, right? But like doctors, service workers, etc., right? We choose the people who are going to be the best for those roles. We will still have a huge amount of people over the age of 26 who are excellent in their careers, excellent at their jobs, who are still serving the rest of society.
So the issue with that is that the reason we have a draft is if it's a backup plan. If we need people to go to war that aren't already in the military, then we're going to pick out of this random pool of people who are capable, 18 to 24-year-old men. These men are typically going to be capable for most roles that are filled, and they're not the best of our society. What you're saying is we have a military, and then when we have a draft, the people that are the best people in our societies end up going and getting drafted because they're the best at their jobs, they're the best at whatever.
No, what she ends up saying is that it's the people who are the most expendable. So then it becomes black people,
least
brown
expendable.
people.
She's saying least
Bro,
expendable. She's saying
guys.
whoever's best.
No, you don't
capable.
send a good doctor to fucking war.
That's
you don't send
what my point is.
a good teacher to war. Who you send to
plenty
war,
of
and that's
good-
why the lottery is the only thing that makes sense in a
Yeah.
draft, is because it's fair.
You just select
Otherwise,
a
we're
group
just
of
going
people.
to find poor people to catch bullets in the fucking.
We don't need the
I
most
don't think
capable.
so.
You just need
Guys,
capable.
Again, the draft. Again, guys, the draft. Even when you do drafts, the draft people who are drafted themselves. Again, only 25% of them.
I'm not talking about front lines. I'm talking about capable of anything. So like so cooks, chefs, nurses, doctors. The reason we have it as a lottery system is because men 18 to 24 on average are going to be the most capable in the military and filling any one of these roles.
And keep in mind, these are not volunteers. These are people who we are forcing, coercing under penalty of law, right, to do this. So the only, again, I'm just curious, right? Yeah. The reason it's a random system is because, as Lav said, and I'm going to agree with Lav, God help me,
you do every single time, and
it's
every single
random.
time you make a big fuss about it. Shut the fuck up! I'm based, and you're mad about it.
What are you, Max?
There's a random element because it has to be
You sound
a
like your
random
dad.
element to it,
I
right?
can
In
see
order
that. I
to
can see, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the pool
I
you're
can see
pulling
that-
from has to be generally capable of doing all roles. You're not selecting
Sure.
who fits the best role. In your system, it would take too long to draft anybody. We wouldn't be able to do the draft because we'd be too busy reading through resumes.
And the government would know way too much about our lives.
That part.
I just
I mean,
think
they
that we
already
should.
know
I just think that we
everything that they
should.
need,
I think
so.
regarding women, like
I
we don't. I don't think we
understand
need to
the
do it.
point.
I don't think we need to do it like so specific with every single person or like every. But it just with women, it's like okay, well, like this. We need like 15.
Oh, so
cooks.
women get special treatment?
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit, because it's
That's,
Why?
that's what, you don't fucking respect women?
No, I just don't think there is a strong.
Women are so fucking retarded.
they're
and
just not as.
stupid that
No,
we need
they're
to-
just. They're just not as strong. They're just not. They're just not as strong. They're just not as strong. So all I'm saying is yes. That's what I've said. This I've been consistent. So if you need 15 cooks, like, and we have if we're gonna draft like a whole bunch of people, and we're drafting a ton of women, it's like okay, send the women to be the cooks. That's all I think.
Why?
It's like a slight.
Why would we choose them
because
to
they're
be
not as
cooks if
strong.
Men are
Men are probably more capable to be cooks during wartime than women in cooks during wartime.
Exactly. That's the part that I do agree that women are not as strong. I don't agree that women are like mentally frail. I don't agree with that.
Again,
It's not about
you
mentally.
are
Okay, so wait.
expanding the pool.
So you're in a
You're
war zone.
expanding
You're in a
the
war zone.
pool.
You're in a war zone. The infantry
Wow.
gets attacked. The
What does
infantry gets
mentally
attacked. Would you
frail
rather
even
have
fucking
women being
mean?
there
Not
or
able
men
to
being
put up
there?
with the fucking like trauma of
Okay,
war. I think
okay,
that women are
guys,
just as
guys,
capable of
guys,
it as
guys.
men.
Guys,
It's not
okay.
about that. It's
I-
about that we have different fear responses. We do different things
I-
when we're scared.
The reaction
I
times are different to things.
understand.
Reaction
I
times
understand
are
that my,
different. It's all different.
I understand that my thing about reforming the lottery. I understand the problems with it, right? But at the same time, by expanding the people who are required to sign up for selective service, we are making more capable men available for the front line because we probably won't have enough
But we
people
only
for the
need
front line.
15%, right?
Capable is
No,
capable.
not-
Capable is
no,
capable.
we
You don't
don't
need
know.
more
In the future-
capable.
Also,
In the
I'm going to
future,
tell
we
you,
don't know
recon
that. In the
Marines
future,
who
we
do
don't know
majority
that.
of the fucking legwork are going there volunteer based. They're not
Okay.
people who got fucking
Again,
drafted.
The major again, we don't know
don't
in
have
the
a
future
draft.
if we will need guys, we don't know in the future if we will need more than 15%. We don't
Yes.
know
We
that.
won't. We have fucking nuclear weapons. We won't.
But that's why you just keep drafting
Okay.
men, because the men on average are going to be capable,
A question-
suited for all the roles
Yeah,
versus
why
the women
don't
that
you
you
just-
have
I have another
find
question.
women that
I have
are
another
capable
question.
of
Stop.
roles.
Why
I have
wouldn't you
another
expand
question.
the amount of able-bodied
Because you don't
men
need
who are
to.
able
You don't
I
need
will.
to.
I
'cause you
don't want to
need
mute people, but I will
Okay.
mute people.
We make
I
more
have
bomb.
another question. This is to Lav and to Ollie. Okay. One of the things that one of the reasons that is given that men are required to sign up for the draft is because men are, or at least people are seen to owe a duty to their country. Their country protects them, and at least the young men are seen to owe a duty of care to their country. This is something that there is responsibility to put their lives on the line if required to, right, in order to protect the nation. Given that that's the case for men, what would you suggest there be for women? If you don't think that the draft is appropriate for that, should there not be a responsibility that women have,
Give
that women
birth.
are expected to fulfill?
They already have that
So it's not a
responsibility.
draft.
Give birth.
What it is. What
They
it
Yes,
is.
shape,
we already-
they shape and mold society. So as men will work out and will provide and we'll go to war, women are the ones that are keeping the kids safe, raising our kids, like raising the young men of the future. They're protecting and nourishing society and molding society and shaping it. That's their responsibility to our society. Whereas our responsibility is typically to protect and provide. We build, they mold.
Yeah, we have gender roles that
But
work.
that's not required by law, right?
yeah,
like,
I
so the
think-
difference between,
yeah.
hold on, if I may, the difference between the draft, right, for men and what you're talking about for women, the truth of it aside, is that there is a legal requirement that men
This is
do.
actually
They
beautiful.
still would. So the draft is is a forcing factor, right? So like we're not choosing to go to war. We get drafted to go to war. When we're in these war times, when the men are at war, women are going to have to keep society running. And so therefore that's their responsibility. It may not be a legally granted responsibility, but if all
you
the men
see
are
the
gone,
difference. You
It's
see
just as
the
binding. It's just as
asymmetry.
binding.
it's just as important. We go to war.
It's just as important, but it's not just as binding. It's not.
Well, I mean,
It
how
It
do
is
you-
just as
how do you-
binding,
how do you
but
legally
it
mandate
also
that?
it's not as, first of all, it is just as binding, but it's not legally so, and that's because we're not. It's really hard to convince people to potentially go die for something that they don't feel like is worth dying for, which is why it has to be legal, because there has to be a level of force. There doesn't have to be the same level of force in getting women
And it's a
to
last
create
case
children.
scenario.
Yeah,
It's not
everybody
like,
wants to
it's
have
a
kids.
last case.
So-
It's
I
a
think
a
last
lot of
case
women are
scenario. So
waking up.
Just do whatever.
And-
Just live your life like a normal human, and then you're doing your thing. You don't have any. We don't hold you to any standard or anything.
Well, I think that there should definitely be a social molding of, I think especially now more than ever, to a social push to get women to have children, to say that this is your responsibility as well, like
Okay.
to
So
carry
just,
on
like,
the race.
the way that I would do that is I would make it so that the economy is good enough so that people under the age of 26.
The economy is gonna stay bad and good for some people forever. We live in a free market. We live in a mixed market. You should just be less lazy. You should just be less lazy, and you should get a better job
Don't
that's more
fucking shake
challenging
your
and better
head.
for you. If you want money, then you should go make money, just like how every single person in the world is making money somehow, but you can't shake it and you blame the world for it.
Well,
That
I have
sounds
a
like
job.
you
I have a
problem.
job. I have
That
a
sounds
job,
like
and
a
I'm
skill
making
issue.
money. I have a job, and I'm making money. I can't foresee having
What's
a
your-
house and like I like.
Then
in
get
any-
a better
a better
job.
job.
Okay,
would
enough
like
of
to
this
respond to
economy
Whick's
talk.
question.
Enough of this
Move
economy
to a
talk.
different place that's less expensive and get a
All right,
better
what's your
job.
question?
Easy.
I would like to
different.
respond to your question.
I would talk
Whick.
about this, but let's continue.
Okay, Stardust, what's your answer to this?
So I do think if you guys are completely against women being required to sign up for selective service, then I do think that women should be required to sign up at least for like volunteer work or something like that.
Sure.
If needed, right? But honestly, in recent years, I don't think I would have thought this before, but like I think in recent years I've come around to the idea that maybe a lot of people in like a lot of young people actually maybe should be required to volunteer in some sort of way, just like by law, like regardless of draft. But in regards to like women's jobs being like to have kids and raise kids, we spend a third of our lives postmenopausal. Our lives are not meant to just have kids and raise kids, right? A third of our lives are postmenopausal. That is past the age of being able to have kids.
So it's society's
we do other
kids
things
as well.
in society.
We don't stop raising our kids after they become adults. We help raise their children and their children.
We do other things in society too, though, right?
Yeah,
we have the ability to do plenty in society, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of like the raising of children being solely women's responsibility, because it's men's responsibility too.
Well, we're talking about wartime.
Hold on.
drafted.
I've been paid $100, so in about 10 minutes, we're gonna bring a couple people on. Okay, just FYI, I'm letting you know.
Raising kids is a privilege that I would like to be able to have instead of being forced to go to war and die.
I think men who can't hold a stable job should be forced to be eunuchs.
Draft 8, Smeth?
I think we should be
I should be forced
eunuchs
to marry a CEO, and then I'll be all set.
I do think that women
You're
are
so
superior
mad.
to men.
Are
I,
you
like,
of draft
unironically
age,
believe that.
Smeth?
No, I'm 30.
Hold on,
So then
what?
What the fuck do you...
You're basically a postmenopausal woman at this point.
Okay, maybe hold on. We've lost the plot. So I guess for those countries, like let's take it away from America for a minute. And this is to Lav and Ali. For those countries who do have mixed service drafts and service requirements for, like Israel is a great example. In Ukraine, I'm not sure if they have started mandatorily requiring women yet or not. I'd have to look into that. But Israel definitely does. Would you advocate that they stop that practice? Do you think that there's something they should quit?
Wasn't
Why?
like one of the big things for October 7th when Hamas attacked and they attacked the civilians? One of the arguments was that, well, these people had served 2 years in the military, so therefore they're not civilians. They were part of the military for X amount of years. So I feel like if you include women into a draft and you force them into your military, you kind of remove that civilian label from them, and now they're just they're militants and you can attack. That's not a good thing.
Military.
Doesn't matter. They served for 2 years, so they're part of that military. They're trained. They know how to use the weapons. They can go back. That is a problem. You remove the civilian label from those people when forcing them to be in military for 2 years. It's not good.
I don't know that I agree with that. I think that that's kind of just like justifying what happened to them, right?
No, I literally that's what I'm saying. Hamas gave
He's
that
just saying it was
justification.
consequential.
So it's a problem
Sure.
that they could use that label. You remove the label of civilian in those times. That's kind of what we're talking about. You put
But
women
we shouldn't
in.
give that to them. Why should we give that to them?
Well, we're not. That's
Well,
just what
also,
was used.
I don't think Israel only did that because they were such a small population. So they had to. Now they're a less small population, so they don't really need to do a draft. They don't. Women don't even need to be in the Israeli
And again,
military,
it's not a draft specifically. It's
conscription. I meant.
I was just saying. I was saying. To me, that removes civilian label, which it shouldn't. But like to people that are attacking you, how do you tell them that, right?
But I mean, like we talked about briefly before, I think that, people should be forced to volunteer to some extent. I don't know if it's the military, but forced to volunteer, sure. Like if it's just even feeding your community or stuff like that. I mean, that certainly can be a way to, if you want to call that military, then sure, I believe in a draft, but that's not really what we're talking about when we talk about military.
Approach,
because
right?
but that's not what we're talking about when we talk about
service.
military. When we talk about military
Citizenship.
conscription, you could be placed anywhere.
Let's talk
So,
about.
I don't
let's-
believe in
let's talk
that. I
about
don't
South
believe in that
Korea.
draft.
Oh, okay. Well, you believe in the same draft that I believe in. Like just like South Korea, you have mandatory military service.
that's not
and
how a draft
everybody,
works.
Everybody literally has to like work for the military like for a number of years in South Korea. You get job training. You do all kinds of shit or whatever. It's really healthy for their society. Just like forcing them to do volunteer work, and then
okay on
everybody
that.
else, and it doesn't take away their fucking
Yeah, but
civilian
that's not
status. And
okay.
people
So
who wanna,
yes, I
people
agree
who
with
wanna
the
rape and
draft if
murder
we
you,
completely change the draft. Yes, but we're not arguing on those conditions. We're arguing on the conditions, the American conditions, which are not what you're talking about. Your dream world doesn't exist. So if we change what the draft is fundamentally, then
Yeah,
yes, I agree
so
with
to
it.
include
But
women.
that's not what we're fucking arguing.
Just change it to
Ultimately,
include
that's not what
women.
we're arguing.
Change it to include women, and just don't put women in roles where there's physical like high demands where life and death's on the line if you're weak. Easy peasy.
Not forced to volunteer.
Okay.
I meant forced to do
Beautiful.
service, not to
Okay,
volunteer.
at this point, gang,
Okay, just a sec.
at this point, before I let other people on, I want to give each of you to have some final thoughts on this, but then I'll start bringing a couple other people in by onesies and twosies. So if you've been molding in chat, and again, someone paid me enough money to open this up, so just jump backstage, gang, and I'll get you as we can. I will give special privileges to people who are combat veterans, as well as women. If you are a woman and who has served in the military, you'll get a little bit of a jump in the line.
But you have to have a non-combat role in the conversation.
Smeth, give us your brief closing, please.
I think that like Lav's already agreed with me. Like just put women in roles that make sense, and yeah, I
Just
disagree.
completely change the draft.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about doing.
So that's not even a draft as we know it. How
Like,
we ca-
like the
like,
only
that's not
difference,
even-
the only differences are including women, and then like making and just like prioritizing women for roles that are not like strength dependent. My last thoughts. I think that a lot of the arguments against this hinge on women either what I'm defining as mentally are being either what I defined as being mentally frail, which I don't think they are, or saying that their ideal role is to like have children and that's what they do for society. I think that it's a luxury to have children, and it's something that I would be lucky to be able to do. And I like I said, like I think the way you do that is like economy. I don't think that joining the military is a luxury. Like people like might talk about it like that, but it sucks. And I think that we all need to do our part.
Okay. Let's go to Lav. Final thoughts before we open this shit show up and make a little more money.
Yeah, I think more so than talking about, whether or not females should be forced into, military conscription, we should talk about why it would be better for America to force conscribe being a eunuch for men like Smeth. I think that would do more for society positively. And that could solve more issues than potentially adding women into the military for America.
Sounds fun.
Okay. Ali, what you got?
Yeah, so I didn't really hear any positive reasons as to why women joining the draft or being part of the draft nothing made sense. I think the way we have it is kind of ideal. People who want to join already do, and if at any point in time we have a last resort and we need to have a draft, we should probably draft the most capable men. And then if we're like, it would make no sense to sit here and sift through and find a percentage of capable women just to say that like women are part of the draft. Unless we're drafting 50-50, which we're not going to, it just makes no sense to have them as part of the draft.
In a war, imagine we're literally about to go to war and we're like, guys, think about equality. Guys, everyone, think about how women would feel right now. Like, it's retarded.
Okay. Stardust, what you got?
Okay, so it's not even entirely about equality, though. Having women, required to sign up for selective service is going to at least like make us, equal before the law, even if in practice we do it differently, right? Calling for women to register for selective service and making it required to do so is, it's recognizing that our roles are changing and that we're expanding a pool of eligible citizens. And we're not only doing that, but we're also enhancing the nation's overall readiness for defense. And so you have this expanded pool of people. You now have way more people, super eligible people. You can now delegate more able-bodied men to combat roles. We can expand the number of men who are in those combat roles. I don't see why we wouldn't pull the best of the best for these different roles, the most efficient people.
Okay. And with that, gang, onesies and twos, we'll see. Okay. We got 2 combat veterans, or at least military, ex-military in here. We got Alex Kirsch, and we got Ranger and Rogue. Go ahead. What are your thoughts here? First of all, I guess I'll ask this: do you think women should be required to sign up for selective service?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Ranger, what you got?
Draft is something completely separate. I'm here to fucking dispel some of the misinformation in regards to females in combat roles. That is an entirely different conversation. Probably shouldn't even be in here.
Well, it is. So here we are, gang. Okay, so let me hear why you think, to Alex, why you think that women should be required to sign up.
Because we already have women that are going to serve in combat roles. We already know that if women are going to be capable of serving in roles, like, for example, because what people don't understand is, like, when people bring up, like, frontline stuff, the most heavily hit units in the Iraq-Afghanistan theater were actually transportation units. So if we're going to expect women to actually be able to serve in the military, whatnot, and if they show they can serve, then why not actually have them, sign the selective service? There's no other reason. You either have everybody sign up for the selective service, or you just get rid of the draft in general.
What's the percentage of women who'd sign up for service?
What does it matter?
So, like, because then you're selecting for, like, out of the women, those would be the ones that are capable, that feel themselves capable, are capable, and are willing to do that, versus, like, if you're just pulling from, like, the general pool of women, they're probably not going to be suited for that, right?
What are you talking about, dude? You're not making... What argument are you making exactly?
Okay, so let's just say there's 10 women who joined the military, right? Those women chose to do it. They deemed themselves capable. They went through the training. They want to do it. Now, if you pull 10 women from a random pool of 100 women, they're probably not going to be capably suited to fit to be in the military, right?
Well, it depends what role they go into, honestly. I mean, it really...
No, it doesn't matter the role. We lowered the PT standards 80 fucking times for women, dude. The women can't go 3 days in the fucking field without having to get escorted back to base to get a fucking shower. When we're sitting in the field for a total... Yes, it's 1,000,000% fucking true. What are you talking about? What are you, an 88 Mike? I'm telling you right now. Regardless.
Chill the fuck out.
Congrats. Field training exercises, maximum of 10 to 14 days where you go play military in the woods somewhere. Females literally cannot go into the field without getting escorted back to base to get a fucking shower. Google it. Everyone in the audience fucking Google it right now.
You want me to fucking Google everything, you fucking asshole? Come on, get out of here.
You guys just not gonna fight, like, hold on.
Stop facts. Do they matter?
Understand this.
If you have comments for the panel and stuff like that, please, right? Like, if you have questions with the panelists, I'm gonna prioritize that. So go ahead.
Yeah.
No? Yes? We got more people.
No. Well, my question is though, like, if you're gonna try, okay, if the argument is that women should not serve on the front lines, where are the front lines essentially? Because, like, during the global war on terror, like Iraq and Afghanistan, there was no real front lines. The battlefield was essentially everywhere.
Anyone that leaves the wire.
That goes to the point of not drafting women, period, right? Because, again, you cannot guarantee that they won't be on the front lines and see combat.
You don't have to. You don't, like, when you get drafted, just because you get drafted does not necessarily mean you'll see combat.
Let's just send women to death. Let's just do it.
Said that.
Good holy fuck.
Lab, you've not been taking this shit seriously. The only person who's been taking this shit seriously is Stardust. I'm sorry. She's the only person.
How do you take an argument this retarded seriously?
Holy fucking
shit.
Listen,
sweetheart, okay? This is not your fucking field of view, okay? Go talk about something else, all right?
You don't even know your own field of view!
I don't know if this is yours
I know
either,
my fucking field of view, guy.
God, good thing I'm fucking here. Holy shit.
Or what?
Or you would reaffirm the retarded talking points that are getting spewed.
What?
Okay, what are you most frustrated about here, Ranger?
Pretty much everyone on the fucking panel, other than top left. Not really sure. I've never heard him speak. Might be cool, might not be. Not really
What the
sure.
fuck did I do?
I'm about to say me and Levin on the
Jesus
same
Christ.
side.
Pretty much everyone else on this fucking panel talking about like
Jeez,
fucking
Ranger,
medics or
I thought we were
only women go to fucking medics and everything. Like, dude, but fucking most
I
of
never
medics
said
are
that.
combat arms. Most of medics are fucking combat arms. They go to the line. And one of the biggest fucking things in combat when you do leave the wire and you are on mission is that shit does go south. You do have to carry really heavy fucking shit. And when someone can't carry their shit, the next person has to pick up the slack. And we have to do
what
this
did I say?
over
What
and
did I
over
say?
and over again.
I said
In regards to
nurses
fucking
and
medics.
nurses and doctors, right? I didn't
Right.
say medics. Medics, of course, are going to go
what-
out and get people.
What was the thing that you said though? That surgeons, the best surgeons shouldn't be going to war? The best surgeons
I didn't
should
say
be going to war. They absolutely should be going to war. They should stay
I
on
didn't say
Kandahar. They should stay on the bigger fucking bases where they are safe and they can operate on the fucking people that are getting medevac back. Holy shit. Like, you guys
I
don't
agree with
understand the fucking military and you're
I don't.
fucking...
It's the best surgeon isn't necessarily the best surgeon for the military. Is what I think
If
that you're
they're a
saying.
woman.
Like, even if
I'm
a
a
woman is
surgeon.
like
At
a
the end of
good,
the day-
a very, it's even if you're top of your game as a woman surgeon in the real world, still you could not be equipped to be a surgeon in the military. So it could
It's
just
too
like you
scary.
just are just not as suited.
At the end of
It's
the
not
day,
that
if
it's
you
too
get shot,
scary.
are
We
you gonna
have
care if the
different
person treating
fear
you is a man or a
responses.
woman?
Matt.
Wait,
Well,
At
that's
the end
too
of the day,
scary.
if
That's
you're
literally
a job,
too
that's the most
scary.
important
Okay,
thing.
Ranger, I have to ask, were you listening to like anything that came out of my mouth?
The majority of the panel I was listening to, I wasn't writing down every stupid thing that was being said, but
Okay,
generally,
so I
like,
didn't say medic. I didn't say medic. All right. I understand that is one thing that I refrain from saying. People who have to go out and get injured people, probably not going to have a woman go out and do that.
that's
I have a
another
medic
thing.
friend who was in
Like,
that.
dude, people are fucking heavy. You're gonna carry me 220 pounds plus 80
didn't
pound
say-
rough plus
Right
my
here.
IoTV.
We'll have
all
a
my
man
fucking
carry
equipment.
people.
Anybody.
We'll have
You're
a
gonna
man-
carry all that
Guys can't
shit.
carry 220
I
pounds.
agree with you, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You fucking retard. I agree with you. I never said that.
But you're prescribing that you
No,
want
but
women
you're
to join combat arms. You want women to join the fucking military into combat arms in the front line. What do you think the front line is?
Shut the fuck up, bro. I'm talking about doctors and nurses who are working on people who are already brought in. I'm not talking about
Oh,
people-
good. Good. 0.007% of the military.
Have
Good.
two
Alright.
women carry then. Like, so like
Okay.
we're drafting them, just like we're gonna have a whole bunch of people.
Oh yeah,
Just
because
have two women
that's
carrying them.
efficient. That's efficient because everyone
Okay.
knows when someone goes down in the middle of a road and you suppress the fire and you go and get that person. The person getting them isn't definitely the most prime fucking target for the sniper or the IED or anyone fucking
Four.
that's watching.
That's why you
the
take care.
person
That's
that
Four
the
initially
best
women.
went
way to
down.
treat care under
Four
fire.
women.
You could
Rounds down
you
range.
could have been
Everybody
like,
fucking knows that.
Enough.
Right. So
Ranger-
you want to
Ranger-
pay 4 women to carry one person instead of one guy to drag
Sometimes
them
if
from a
that's what it
fucking
does,
raptor strap.
Isn't
Wait, you know what?
misogynist.
Ranger-
How is that advantageous?
I'm
How
not-
is that you
I'm
are
not
going
serious.
out of your way and the only reason is to be like for equality? Like
It's not-
why
that's
would
the-
why
the four
what's
women
the
is a joke.
reason? What's the
It's-
reason?
It's anti-misogyny.
Okay,
Four women is a
Ranger, you know what you could have done, Rangers? You could have come into my chat and been like, hey, Stardust, can you clarify this? And I would have said, you know, there are like medical hospitals, there are like places we take injured people to. We can certainly have women's staff there. We can certainly have women's staff in
Why?
areas.
Wait,
that are
yeah,
not
because
combat.
because in wartime we know that hospitals are safe.
Oh my God. Not only that, but we have cops and we have fobs, all right? Outside the wire little bases that get overrun fucking constantly. Constantly. Do you have any idea what happens to female POWs? They get fucking brutally raped hundreds of times. Not once, hundreds of times by hundreds of different men. They get transported all over the place, raped over and over and over again.
There goes my monetization, but
Sorry.
fair.
Sorry.
No, it is what it is. Okay. Thanks for calling in. I think we've made our points.
But do you think that nurses
Dying is
like,
worse
in
than
the
being raped.
Average, do you guys think,
Wait, being
you guys
killed
think
is being
that-
worse than being raped.
Do you guys think that like do you
Repeatedly
think that,
hundreds
do you
of
guys
times? I
think
don't think
Yes.
so.
that
Yes.
nurses
I
who
don't think so.
work in the medical field normally don't have to lift human bodies?
They do, but it's easier for the men.
Wait.
who work
Wait.
in the
Have you
field.
ever been to a hospital because they get any male to come do
Wait,
that?
we had a short.
There
no,
are
that
tons
is true. That is true.
Tons of nurses. There are tons of female nurses who help lift bodies or
They
lift them
built
by themselves.
machines for
Hold on.
they built machines for this, and any single time.
We
I'm
have a
108 pounds. They still
We
got
hired-
2 male
we hired-
nurses to lift
For
me.
really
We
fat people,
overhired
yes,
male doctors. The
machines.
male nurses came up crazy over the past few years because specifically for the lifting, for the holding, for the shit that requires strength. There are so many male nurses now that were required, that were needed in the field because the women couldn't do it.
Yeah, but we have tons of nurses.
Sure, that doesn't
female
change.
nurses who still have
That
I
doesn't
don't.
change.
Do you know what a
Men
nurse
were in
does?
the
A nurse is
field.
basically female nurses change like bedpans and put needles in you. Like
They
male
also lift
nurses.
people. They
I don't know
also
why
lift
any of this
people.
means that women
Okay.
shouldn't
Female-
have to join the
Okay.
draft.
Okay. Now we're going to
They
recenter it. We're going to
Yes.
recenter.
They don't benefit us. It's a negative.
We're going to recenter on the draft and the military service and things like that. And we have 2 new guests who are going to weigh in. I'm going to give it to Daedalus first, and then I'm going to give it to Artemis. Daedalus, do you have a comment or a question for the panel specifically? Go ahead.
Well, I have more of a comment.
Oh, I can't hear you at all.
He's a little
Just get
slow
close
on
to your
my side, but I
mic.
can hear.
Just get closer.
How about now? Better?
I'll turn you up on my side.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
turning-
while you're fixing that, while you're fixing your audio because we can't hear you, let's go to Artemis.
Hi,
Artemis, what you got?
Stardust.
Hi, Artemis. How's it going?
Not bad. Hey, I got a question for all of you. Is the question about women in the draft, is this an equality argument, an efficiency argument, or a standards-based argument?
For me, it's based on expanding the pool of people so we can pick the most eligible people for each role. And of course, women are most likely not going to be in those combat roles. I do want to clarify one thing somebody said in chat. Somebody says, having been in combat arms, we didn't have doctors and surgeons on the front lines.
You don't.
Precisely my point in that we're, bringing females in to fill roles so we can free more men up for more combat-based roles. So
I want to hear mostly actually from what's your name, Smeth.
Yeah. It is standards. When you say standards, you mean like
Yes.
like a moral, ethical? Right?
No, like military standards. So equality would be a moral, ethical. So standards is a actual capability. The efficiency argument would be the ability for the military to pull from the general population.
It is a equality and an efficiency, but it's not a standards.
Okay. Do you know what the purpose of the military is for?
To destroy and eliminate threat and protect the country
In the most effective manner possible, right?
Yes.
Because you don't want to have a military.
Yeah, the joke
Soviet
about
Union.
2 women or 4 women carrying somebody was a joke. Just have
I haven't been here for the conversation. I was just letting you guys argue amongst yourselves. I'm coming in this fresh just to hear it directly from you. That way there's no screaming going on. So you can keep going. I just so when we're talking about equality and you said a efficiency based argument. The issue is that a standard based argument should be the primary focus of a military. Because if it is combat ineffective, it is worthless.
The standards come into play for me when selecting who to go for what role. So the standards should be in play. Like I was saying. So if a firefighter is going to save my life and he's axing through walls, I really want it to be a man.
But if placing someone more time. So having to place women into specific places takes more time. That's not effective.
Lav, if you don't mind, I just wanted to complete what he's saying. And then I'll let you just hammer away. I just want to hear him.
So yeah, I want it to be a man. If there's a guy trying to save me with a fire axe, but if nobody shows up, I'll take a woman. And so if we need women for that, then we do.
So you're saying prioritize people that would be fit for it.
Yeah, and you don't. I wouldn't even go down saying to the minutia of every single person. Just put women in less physically strenuous roles. That's all.
Okay. No, go ahead, Lav.
I already said what I needed to say.
Yeah, I think she said what she had. Okay, I want to.
Ranger is a fucking retard. Okay, who didn't listen to a fucking word
well,
that I said. Okay.
We can talk about Ranger later.
Ranger.
I want to pass the ball to Daedalus. Hopefully his audio is fixed. And Daedalus,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
If you have a comment for the panel or a question, by all means, please.
First of all, the only person who was remotely prepared for this panel was Stardust. Jesus Christ.
Second, women in the United States Army have been allowed to try for combat roles since 2013, so a whole decade now.
Combat arms should be 2017, I believe. No, 2015.
2013. I remember my sister's roommate was one of the first field artillery officers, female field artillery officers. I've been involved in military history and working alongside the United States military now for over a decade, and the level of research that you guys did not do today is horrifying. Before you came into this conversation,
what do you want to correct?
There's so much, but don't worry about that. Me and Fairy Queen have been talking. On Monday, me and her are going to have a talk that's actually informed about this. It's going to be a good time.
Okay, well, enough advertisement. Okay. If you have questions or thoughts for the panel, please.
What did I say that was incorrect, asshole?
Oh, well, first of all, tattoos are very much allowed in the military.
No, you're not allowed to get a tattoo.
You actually go to jail. Did you know that you actually go to jail?
No, you're not allowed to get a tattoo without permission. It's not.
No, you actually get shot in the street.
Holy shit!
If they did it,
a book. It's the actual regulations of what you are and are not allowed to do in uniform, which includes
AR 670-1
appropriate wearing of tattoos.
It's AR 670-1.
Yes.
You are also not allowed to jerk off without permission by the explicit line of the law.
You're also
it's
to
true.
clarify, you're also
large amount of
by
people.
Masturbation.
I have a weirdly large amount of people in my audience who happen to be veterans or ex-military or whatever, and a whole lot of people in my chat were saying that nobody gets punished for tattoos unless it's a face tattoo, you know?
Sure. I know, but I'm just saying. The reason I brought that point up was just to say that they have the authority over what you do with your body. They don't enforce it in that case, but I'm saying that when you join the military, they own your ass.
Yeah. I do have a question for the one that wants to put females in. Do you know how many females, when they come up for deployment, get pregnant?
I wouldn't be surprised if. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a lot. Yeah.
It's upwards of 40%.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Because they don't want to get deployed; they're there for a job. Going to a combat zone is one of the worst fucking things people do. That's why people try to avoid it.
Yeah, but I'm not advocating for women to be in combat zones, right?
There's a draft you'd have to be, though.
No, drafts, again, I already explained this to you. In the Vietnam draft, only 25% of the people drafted were in combat zones. Okay, I already fucking explained this to you. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to you guys. It's fucking ridiculous. But if it's
it doesn't seem very effective to do a placement after placement after placement just to accommodate something that we don't need to do.
If 75% of the people drafted are not in combat zones, then we can definitely put the most effective people in those places so we can have more able-bodied.
How many jobs do you think aren't in combat zones?
75% in that case, but in other cases,
no. But how much of the military do you think is never seen in combat?
The military is not combat.
The vast majority.
No, but how much?
85%.
It's close to 85 to 90%.
Yes.
Of the military works in back-end work, doing
for
logistics,
example,
supply.
For example, it's usually 10 to 1 for a head to tail. For logistics, that's a common stat that everybody references. It's because you have to. For the U.S. military, especially, that is resource intensive.
Now,
and why are they still?
Hold on.
If they're co-ed, why are they still underperforming?
But to the point of Alex Kirsch, who was on here earlier, and I don't know why he brought this up because it goes against his point. We cannot guarantee where the front lines are. And so when you are in a combat zone, which combat zones do need a lot of service personnel, they need cooks, logistics, transportation, et cetera, again, you are not safe. And so given that that's the case, and a lot of times transportation's hit and logistics are hit and attacked by the enemy, having them be having a frontline job or not doesn't really matter when you were in a combat zone, right? I mean,
sure, yeah, but again, I'm not necessarily advocating for women to be specifically put in those places. I'm advocating for the most capable people to be put in the roles that suit them.
Why would you remove the most capable people from society and put them in roles in the military?
It also just seems like statistically women are not capable even in desk jobs in the milstill. It seems like they underperform.
There are plenty of people
Where did you see that,
over the age of 26 who still are excellent at their jobs who are not going to be drafted, bro.
co-ed, performance.
That's no. You're talking
military.
about groups with co-ed. That is a thing, but that's different from saying that women don't perform well.
Well, if the
co-ed issue,
less,
the co-ed issue is the same as women getting pregnant. It's because they're like fucking like what there's a problem with.
Well, no,
discipline. There's a problem with
I
discipline.
think it
when
also
you
says
mix.
that just female units don't perform well either.
Correct. I gave those studies to Whick. The answer is that if you add females into a unit, unfortunately, reality is a thing. Women can't do as much physical things as men. But this only applies to combat missions sets. So not necessarily desk duty. So it's not as big of an issue.
Yeah, again, if 75% of the people, and again, we are not taking all of the most capable people out of society, but we do want excellent people serving in the military. So yes, from 18 to 26, we're going to pick the most excellent people. Then all of the excellent people over the age of 26 are still in society.
So here we go back to this efficiency.
It's not like a draft is going to take away the option to screen people for the military as well.
Yeah,
like you still have a massive apparatus.
You'd actually have to screen more for a draft.
So with the draft,
you have a massive apparatus that already exists.
With that screening, what do you think the percentage of men to women would be that end up getting drafted if we had a draft?
It's probably still going to be vastly majority men. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Give me a number. 95.5.
I don't know.
That's probably what it would be. So it's pointless. It does nothing. There's no benefit.
There is a benefit. The impact that
Hold on. One at a time. I want to hear what. So Ali's point is that it's just superfluous. So why is it not? Why is that incorrect? I want Daedalus to go, then Stardust,
and then Smeth.
We know we have a decade of data that kind of interdicts that study. First of all, second of all, we know that if someone can adhere to the standard that's set, the physical training standard, the training standards you have to learn, like if you've been through military training, you know how they check you off, and you have, Wick, and it sounds like you have, Artemis, like you know how that works. It's like it's a pass-go system basically. If you do the thing, you are qualified for the job. If they are qualified for the job, then there is no particular reason to keep them out of combat roles.
I'm going to immediately object.
So if you have a bunch of women and a bunch of men competing, and the men are all capable and the women are all capable, why would you select any of the women? You need 100. You need 100 people.
Representation,
you need 100 people.
Feminism.
You need to draft. Yeah, you need to draft 100 people. This is the hypothetical. You need to draft a hypothetical. 100 men apply. 100 men are selected. 100 women are selected. They're both groups are 100% capable. Why would you ever choose any women?
Because they're 100% capable.
What if the women score better than the men?
They're both full capability. Like the men have the full capability. The women have the full capability. Why would you ever select from women?
Why would you only select the men then? Like same question backwards.
Well, for the I mean, okay, I guess
outside of tradition. I
would say tradition and
to Steelman his point a little bit. One of the reasons you would is because women can serve a function at home on the home front that men
and they also
can't.
you're losing less to send men away because they remain fertile for longer.
Well, hold on. The actual answer is from a military standpoint, you select men because they're less prone to get concussions, their bone density is higher, less fracture.
That's also true.
Less medical problems when you pick the men. But for our society, we have chosen that equality matters a little bit more than our standards and efficiency, so that's why we allow it in. That's a morality argument.
I'm saying in terms of a draft, I don't think equality should come into play.
Non-combat, but
in terms of draft, equality should come into play.
Wait, Artemis, for non-combat roles, why shouldn't we have like the most capable people in them, regardless of their sex?
Also, this is drafting them, not them choosing you. Why would you draft women?
Just give them helmets.
So the answer is that what is the baseline job of a Marine?
Rifleman.
I'm glad you like that, Wick.
What is the baseline? It's a rifleman. Everybody is a rifleman in the Marines because their job requires it. What is the baseline job for an Army person? It's a soldier. It's the same thing. So the issue is that other than the Air Force and maybe the Space Force, these jobs are going to require that you be physically ready to fight. Because at certain points, your FOBs do get overrun. and stuff like that, and you don't have the guarantee
again,
that
you're not in the combat zone.
You don't. You can't guarantee you won't be.
No, but only that's my point in requiring women to sign up for selective services so that we have the best of the best to select from, and we put women. Maybe most of the time, we're probably not going to put women in combat zones. We're probably going to put women in other areas.
That feels that I can tell you from being a serviceman, it sucks when the women can get out of things that the men can't. Like it sucks when
you're not being treated equally at that point.
Lav dipped out.
No, of course it's not equal because men and women have different capabilities, right?
Well, hopefully, she didn't just.
So I will go back to this. How many people in the United States are qualified to be in the military?
We have an incredibly shrinking pool to begin with.
Well, for example, let's go with the obesity rates. Yes.
Ooh.
What is the average? What is the number between men that are obese and the females that are obese? Do we know?
Women are way more obese.
I think women are more. Yeah.
You're going to have by default less women. You're going to have to draft more men.
Sure.
That's fine. That's totally fine. Like I just want them to be
considered
as
how many PT tests have people getting taped for weight.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Necks are great,
But I would say that we should be picking the best people for the roles that they are going to be the best in. I don't know why we would choose selective service doesn't necessarily mean that just if a draft happens, you're going to be drafted, right?
I mean, that draft would just take forever.
No,
if we sat and read resumes and went through each individual,
Okay.
I'm
not saying resumes. I never said resumes.
Well, you said what they did, what education they have, what job they do, and then what they'd be.
The government has this information.
$5 resume.
$5.
Hold on, everybody.
Okay. Women shouldn't be required to sign up for the draft for the same reason you shouldn't hit women. I might just be old school.
Okay. So again, where was I? What was I saying? Does anyone remember?
Best qualified for the position for women.
Yes, best. Okay, yes. So if women and men are both required to sign up for selective service, I do like the idea that again, it is a law that we've made more equal, right? That doesn't mean the execution of that law is going to be necessarily 50-50, right? We're going to choose the best of the group of people, the pool that we have, that we can draft people from. And
that's not how drafts work, Stardust.
Random selection. Hold on.
Just a second. Even with the lottery, people will still place people in specific places, right? So even with the lottery, they do that. So if we do that, we have the best of the best, and we have the ability to place people, the best people for the role that suits them. Even if it's unequal, even if it's like women end up doing more like support and admin roles and stuff and not in the combat zones, that still frees up more men, more able-bodied men who can be in the combat zones, who can do the things that women, it would be too dangerous to have a woman there for.
I have one caveat to this.
Or you could just draft more men.
Go ahead, Smith. Go ahead.
No. Respond to her. I wanted to answer Ollie's question.
So we're
gonna cycle because
I'm gonna take your equality argument, Smith, and ask. So your version of the draft, Stardust, how is it not going to be where the poor and uneducated aren't going to be sent to the meat grinder while the rich and educated are going to?
That's already how it is. That's already how it is.
No, it's not.
It's not.
That's how we. Okay, when it comes to a draft, drafts, historically, if you look at drafts, it is the poor who end up suffering the most.
You're guaranteeing it this way, though.
A draft is ideally not supposed to be that.
It's supposed to be random, on purpose.
The way that we do it without the draft is more like that because we send the recruiters to the poor neighborhoods and shit.
Well, that's not true either. Like we've had a largely middle class military for decades now.
They go to colleges a lot.
Oh yeah,
like do you know how many NCOs? Do you know how many NCOs have college degrees now?
Yeah,
high schools too.
I'm willing to say I'm wrong.
No, look, I'm just saying that in the past, as I've seen how drafts have been conducted, most of the time, unfortunately, it seems to be that poor people seem to bear the brunt of that, and that sucks, right? And if you guys have a solution to that, then I'm happy to hear solutions. You know,
$5 a solution because it's sorry, go off.
From Zephyr Hash. This question to Stardust, and then we'll cycle, right? Should an and this is from Zephyr Hash, should an able-bodied military general / commander be sent on the front line to be replaced by an undertrained woman?
No, I mean, again, it's going to be based off of quality, like the quality of the personnel. Obviously, women, there are going to be way less women who end up getting recruited overall. It's just
they don't want me to talk. This happens all the time. It's because I get emotional, and it's not that I'm actually talking less. It's because I talk loudly, and so then it's like, oh, we need to make sure he doesn't talk as much. It's because they can't fucking handle someone being emotional. They need to fucking like drown me out. They need someone to talk in a monotone drone, and just like that's all I can fucking handle. If I don't do that, then they want to shut me up.
Last thoughts from Daedalus, last thoughts from Artemis, then I'll psych you that. Last thoughts.
Smith, you're muted, Smith.
I know. I was talking to my chat.
Okay, I was just making sure.
I was telling him why I'm being silenced.
Okay, you're not being silenced. Daedalus, last thoughts, and then Artemis.
And then we're moving on over me.
I will.
I just want to respond to Stardust real quick.
Daedalus, I will forgo my stuff for Smith, so he can have his word.
Okay. So I don't really necessarily. I think that Stardust's like idea about reforming the draft is like novel, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But it's interesting. But I think that the benefit to having women is part of the equality thing. Because I think that the impact that like it might be the case that most women are actually not like nearly as capable or like meet the standards that we need to like actually draft them. The more of them are obese, more of them are mentally ill, whatever. That's fine. Like, but the fact that we say that we think that they are like equal, even if less of them can be drafted, the fact that we are holding them to those same standards and seeing them as equals means that we are in a society that like actually sees women as equal.
I mean, okay.
I don't, yeah.
All right. American women have been serving in the global war on terror on basically the front line now for nigh on 20 years. There's no reason, provided they cannot meet the standard, that they should not be able to do so. And by that same token, there's no reason they should not be included in the draft.
Okay, thanks for coming. Yep. Got a couple more.
So, like, Star, my thing for that is that the draft is a last resort thing. And so, like, you're not going to be taking the time to select the best of the best, which is why it's randomized at 18 to 24-year-old men, because they're going to be, on average, just capable, versus us sifting through who is capable and isn't capable. These group of people are typically just going to be, on average, capable, versus finding people that are capable.
Even when they do the lottery, though, they still will place certain people in certain places, right?
Exactly, but
like, it's not completely random. It's random in the specific people, you know, who get chosen.
No, the selection of people that you're pulling from is random because you're pulling from a general grouping. Versus if you were being specific with who you were selecting, even if we keep that system, we'll go through the pool of people that we're pulling from and choose people for specific roles, right? Yeah, I'm saying like it's just faster because we're just taking from the general pool. We're not. No, so like when you're drafting, so like in your idea, when drafted, we'd look at the resumes before we pull.
I'm not talking about my idea anymore. I'm not talking about my idea. We're like, let's go just back to like the normal draft, that how it is. You pull a number and you get all these people with this birth date, right?
Yeah, having women would just kind of fuck it up because like, and then on average.
And then if you have all those people, right, from that birth date, and you go through them and see, and you bring them in and see whether they're qualified or not for this, right? And then if they are qualified, you know, you put them in specific places based on their skills, right? It's the same thing. Like we could
if we had it randomized.
Well, they base it on their needs first and foremost, the needs of the needs of the force.
You'd have it randomized, and they'd probably still select for women last. Women would be the last.
They would select for women less. That's fine.
Or even if they got to women.
Just real quick.
I still think women should be required to sign up for selective service.
I wanted to toss it to the people here. I'll give it to Abolition first, and I'll give it to Tears in the Rain. So Abolition, what do you got for the panel?
What I got for the panel is there's already enough ways to find an exemption from being enlisted into the military, either through the draft or, like, say, if we were to implement some kind of conscription service, because conscription and the draft are two different things, right? So there's the possibility of mental disabilities, there's physical unfitness, which I think a lot of women would be maybe not willing to take that one specifically because of the implication of saying that women are physically not as fit as men for all the work that women have done. And then there's like childbirth and higher education. So pursuing a college degree can delay your enlistment into the military. I think with all of these things already available, there's not really a reason for women to not be included into the draft, other than we're worried more or less about how that looks for men to other countries in saying that our women are going to fight for us. Because the whole like men need to defend women, or women should even be in non-combat roles if accepted into the draft, is more or less just like a cultural, like very culturally conservative kind of standard that mostly just affects international politics. So like how our enemies see us, how our allies see us. So maybe like countries like Ukraine, Finland, Afghanistan may see us differently, regardless if they're our ally or not, just by the fact that we let women into the military. And then we also require them at our greatest needs or our greatest sense of like a period of emergency to require that they join the military. Right. And honestly, like we have a fuckload of people and feed them very typically well. It doesn't matter if they're a man or woman, then they want to join the military. Really, we have enough exemptions for them not to fulfill a draft. I think them having to sign up is fair.
Okay. Any thoughts to that? Then we'll go to Tears in the Rain.
I mean, once again, I'm just going to put it on average. On average, I think 18 to 24-year-old men are highly more capable of being in a military during a draft than women. Like there's no positive to drafting women. Yeah. No one's given an actual positive other than equality.
So the first thing you said is not relevant. The first thing you said is not.
You're getting the same amount of people.
Yeah, the first thing you said is not really relevant to the second thing that you said, because the first thing that you said was that men are more typically qualified to be physically fit or physically capable of accomplishing the task necessary for being
any task, not just physical.
Okay, that's fine. I'll even go off of that, right? And then the second, what you're saying is that women aren't as likely to be within the same qualifications that you're kind of laying out. But the fact is not that they're more likely or as capable. The fact that there is some of them are capable. And so you're expanding the workforce within the military. That's really what the draft is doing.
You're not really expanding the workforce. How many people are part of selective service right now?
Huh?
How many people are part of selective service right now?
Every man. Yeah, every man.
Every man under 24.
Here's the thing, too,
so you're not expanding it. We have a lot of men. So just adding women
you're
wasn't
expanding
really
it because not every man fulfills the selective service if we were to go into war and then initiate the draft, right? Because you have men that are draft dodgers, right? We saw this in Vietnam and Korea and well, I guess just Vietnam and Korea lately. And then you have men that are not physically fit. You saw this in World War II. And you have men that pursue higher education and religious exemption specifically so that they can't join the military. So those gaps, those things that are failing, there may be women who are effective in their position enough, not even like to yours, not so that, because how you're saying is that they're not going to be as effective, right? So
I don't think we'd reach them. I don't think we'd get to the point where we're drafting women. I think we have enough men in selective service that we would be able to pull if needed. Yeah.
So I don't think where we are today, we would initiate a draft for women. But I'm saying that it's totally doable in a way that increases the number of people that are not just able to sign on to the draft, but are compliant with a potential draft.
But I feel like you're just adding a group of people that are like no one's thinking about them. So like, how many people are? How many men are eligible, like number wise, eligible for the draft? Number.
Well, regardless if you're eligible for military service, you sign on for the draft.
Got all the numbers if you like.
Man, yeah.
Let's call 100 million men are eligible for the draft.
Well, I mean, half of America. So half of America by the time they reach high school.
So
right?
So the number you're pulling from is pretty fucking massive. Even if there are draft dodgers and people who are exempt, you're still going to have enough people to fill these roles.
No,
you don't need women.
That's the thing. It's a recent development that there isn't enough people to meet the quotas for enlistment. So our concern with them.
Draft.
Yeah. No, but here's the thing, right? If we can't get enough people to voluntarily sign on because we have a voluntary service, when we tell people to sign on, what is our concern with the people that aren't going to look for those exemptions? right? And so by simply allowing women or enforcing women sign on to the selective service, right, and then giving them the option to opt out of selective service, we are still like just going to have more people fulfill selective service.
Okay, I want to toss it to Tears in the Rain. If you have a thought for the panel or something to say, now's your chance. Now's your time to shine, buddy.
Well, hello. So I'm a Canadian, and I happen to have family who's American, and a lot of Americans in Canada are there because Pierre Elliott Trudeau, the father of Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister today of Canada, invited Americans to come to Canada during the American Vietnam War as draft dodgers. So I actually know all kinds of things about conscription, about the U.S. military, about vets, about the VA, about the VFW, about all kinds of things. And I tend to like to have an open mind and to have better dialogue.
So do you think women should sign up for the draft? Should women be required to sign up for the draft in America?
It's America. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes women any different in the Constitution?
Actually, I can answer that. The thing that makes them different is that they have a specific amendment that grants their specific rights to vote. Right. That is the unique thing about them, is that we do, by the definition of our Constitution, differentiate them, and so we do have a legal precedent to look at them differently. And I don't think that we shouldn't. I think that women have done a lot specifically to create safe spaces, specifically to empower themselves within the workforce to make them competitive amongst their male peers, not in terms of their abilities, but in terms of being viewed as capable of being in administrative positions.
Yeah, but that's not an amendment to have them be seen differently. That's an amendment to have them be seen equally, because originally they weren't.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with that phrasing.
Amendment,
right?
By the way.
Yeah. I agree with that phrasing, but the fact that we specify them, right, that we single them out.